sponsored by Meals on Wheels. As a volunteer, you deliver a hot, nutritious meal and a friendly hello to someone just like your mother, grandfather, or next door neighbor. These seniors are inspiring people with incredible stories to share, and they love to see you. The smiles you get back are priceless. Delivering with Meals on Wheels is easy, and you don't have to drive like me for it to be quick. You can volunteer your lunch break once a week or just once a month. With 1 in 6 seniors facing hunger and many more living in isolation, your lunch break can make a real difference. So, America, let's do lunch. Volunteer your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
Okay, Simon, what are you wearing right now?
Nothing.
That's right. And what do people normally wear?
Clothes.
Exactly. So now Mommy's going to teach you how to dress yourself. Clothes keep us warm, they look good, and if we go out without them, the neighbors will talk. So it's important to know how to get dressed. Here's how it's done. Underwear always comes first, name tag at the back, then pants, then shirt. Get the first button in the right hole or you have to start all over. If you're wearing a tie, it goes over, round, round, through, and pull tight. Tuck your shirt into your pants and zip up your fly. Socks going first, then shoes right on right, left on left. With shoelaces, just take the ends, cross them over, switch the loops. The rabbit goes down the hole, pull tight, and you're left with bunny ears.
I love bunnies.
Good to know. Now remember, spots don't go with stripes, socks don't go with sandals, and if you've tucked in your shirt, wear a belt. Got it? Why are your pants on your head?
Most parenting is hard to do in just 2 minutes. But spending just 2 minutes twice a day making sure they brush their teeth is easier and could help save them from a lifetime of tooth pain. For fun 2-minute videos to watch while brushing, visit 2min2x.org. That's 2min2x.org. A message from the Partnership for Healthy Mouths, Healthy Lives and the Ad Council.
So you see, son, good manners are very, very important. Someday, many years from now, when you're a grown-up, you'll be a man. And when you are, you should be a gentleman. Do you want me to go through it one more time?
Yes.
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
Exactly. Always say please, thank you, you're welcome, and excuse me. Sit up straight, hold doors open for ladies. If a door's shut, then knock first. Don't burp, don't swear, don't speak with your mouth full, don't reach across people's plates, keep your elbows off the table.
What table?
And don't interrupt. While we're at it, don't stare, don't use foul language, don't call people names, but do remember people's names. Always share your toys, play nice, and cover your mouth when you cough or sneeze. On the bus, give up your seat to anyone who has trouble standing bottom line. Treat others the way you'd like to be treated. Got it?
Got it.
And stop picking your nose.
Most parenting is hard to do in just 2 minutes. But spending just 2 minutes twice a day making sure they brush their teeth is easier and could help save them from a lifetime of tooth pain. For fun 2-minute videos to watch while brushing, visit 2min2x.org. That's 2min2x.org. A message from the Partnership for Healthy Mouths, Healthy Lives and the Ad Council.
Hey, there he is. How's it going?
I'm having a stroke.
Are you going to shake my hand or what?
I'm having a stroke.
Wow, you're not even moving your arm.
I'm having a stroke.
Are you okay?
I'm having a stroke.
Your face looks weird too.
I'm having a stroke.
Are you having a seizure or something?
I'm having a stroke.
When someone is having a stroke, they may not be able to say it with words, but their body language will tell you loud and clear.
I'm having a stroke.
You just need to know the sudden signs. Look for FAST, F-A-S-T. F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. Or S, speech difficulty. Then T, time. Time to call 911 immediately, because the sooner they get to the hospital, the sooner they'll get treatment. And that can make a remarkable difference in their recovery. Know the sudden signs. Face, arm, speech, time. Spot a stroke fast. Visit strokeassociation.org. Brought to you by the American Stroke Association and the Ad Council.
The average time a resume spends on an HR manager's desk is 7 seconds. And most of them are tossed aside. Now imagine if one of those resumes belonged to Yasmin, who was
living in a shelter, juggling 3 jobs. I had to be resilient. That's something that you can't teach.
Or if that resume was from someone who
worked 12-hour shifts at the recycling company with my dad, who's 72. That taught me a work ethic that I carry with me every day.
We rely so much on a resume, yet it could never tell the full story of someone.
Growing up where I did, a lot of things could have gotten in the way of my goals. But I learned to push through, and that's what I bring to work every day.
So maybe it's time we look beyond the resume and look to Grads of Life. Discover new ways to develop great talent that are so much more than what's on paper at gradsoflife.org. A public service announcement brought to you by Grads of Life and the Ad Council.
Do current market conditions have you nervous? Our experienced team of financial professionals at Heritage Harbor Financial Associates understands that no two investors are alike. We all have different goals, needs, and appetites for risk. That's why the one-size-fits-all approach does not work, especially when planning for retirement. At Heritage Harbor Financial Associates, we analyze your unique investment style so that you can work toward your individual retirement goals on your terms. Heritage Harbor Financial Associates can help you take steps to reach your retirement goals by providing a wide array of financial products to fit your needs, even for the risk adverse. Give us a call at 631-331-6599 to learn more or to set up an appointment with one of our financial professionals. You can also find us on the web at hhfa.org or on Facebook at facebook.com/hhfa.org. Our number again is 631-331-6599. That's 631-331-6599. Investments in stocks, bonds, and mutual funds and variable annuities are not FDIC insured and are subject to fluctuation in value and market risk, including loss of principal. Heritage Harbor Financial Associates offers securities through AXA Advisors, LLC, New York, New York. Member FINRA, SIPC, annuity and insurance products offered through AXA Network, LLC.
Edward Lehman has been a trusted insurance advisor for over 16 years with insurance solutions for auto, home, commercial, life, and retirement. He's located at 54 Sunnyside Boulevard, Suite H in Plainview. That's just 1,000 feet south of 495. Local agent, local advice. The time to think about insurance is before you need it. So do yourself a favor, and before you pay your next insurance bill, give Ed and his team a call, 516-935-3900, or visit them online at www.allstate.com/EL. Edward H. Lehman Insurance is your trusted insurance advisor.
Be fearless at MMA Long Island and Setuha Karate. Located at 28 Colt Court in Ronkonkoma, MMA Long Island is the martial arts school for you if you want to learn combat-proven techniques, build confidence, discipline, and self-esteem while learning real martial arts to fight back against bullies, predators, and peer pressure. MMA Long Island offers group and private lessons for all ages and levels in traditional Goju-Ryu Karate, MMA, and self-defense. MMA Long Island is one of Long Island's most affordable martial arts schools. There are no promotion, belt, or membership fees, and family discounts are available. All classes are taught by 7th degree black belt Sensei John Benedict with over 30 years teaching experience. So whether you want to get in the ring or protect yourself and your family, MMA Long Island can help you reach your goals. Visit MMALongIsland.com. That's MMALongIsland.com, or call or text 516-381-9660. That's 516-381-9660.
Hi, this is Terry Crews, actor, former football player, game show host, father of 5, and all-around big dude. I'm also an expert on drama. I know all kinds of drama. There's the good kind that comes with having a house full of kids. There's the bad kind, like season-ending injuries. There's the necessary kind, like having an agent in Hollywood. And there's silly drama, like the drama around my percolating pectorals. And then there's the drama you can skip.
Skip the drama that comes with not having your high school diploma or equivalency. Find free adult education classes near you and finish your high school diploma. Visit finishyourdiploma.org.
Or text diploma to 97779. Message and data rates may apply. Reply STOP to opt out. That's diploma to 97779. And leave the drama to actors like me.
Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ed Council.
Adopt US Kids presents Multiple Choice Parenting.
Your daughter just had her first breakup. Do you A, put yourself in her shoes?
How could he do this to you? And for Sheila, she has split ends.
B, console her.
Oh, sweetie, this is going to happen a lot. 4, maybe 5 more times before you get married.
C, take charge.
Got to get this all straightened out. Give a little talking to, man to man, mano a mano. Hey, Steve! Is now a good time? No? Okay, no problem. Bye.
Or D, help her find a new boyfriend.
I know a great place to meet boys. The internet. Nice, single boys. Never mind. How about some ice cream?
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
This is you over 30 years ago.
Are we there yet? Are we there yet?
And this is your mom when you drive her back from therapy.
Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet?
Roles change without us noticing, and in your new role, we help you help. AARP gives you the information to help care for your mom so that you can have patience with her, just like she did with you. Visit aarp.org/caregiving or call 1-877-333-5885 to get practical health and wellness tips to provide even better care for your loved one.
Are we there yet?
Remember, visit aarp.org/caregiving. AARP, we help you help. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
When I was little, I didn't talk for a long time. I liked things to always be the same. Anything new or different would scare and upset me. I was very sensitive to lights and sounds. It was almost like I had bigger eyes and ears than everyone else. So I built secret hiding places where nothing could get in. I didn't like looking people in the eye. It made me feel uncomfortable. I'd throw big tantrums over little things like when my socks didn't match. Sometimes I'd do the same things over and over. Until one day, I found out I had autism. My family got me help. Slowly, I learned how to live with it better.
You can see signs of autism in children as young as 18 months. Early intervention can make a lifetime of difference. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org/signs. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
You are now about to witness the strength of street knowledge.
Number 70!
We're talking about practice.
Hello, you play to win the game. The Yankees are champions of baseball.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
3, 2, 1, happy 2000!
No time on the clock, and the Patriots have won Super Bowl 36.
Jordan open. Chicago with the lead.
Worldwide Sports Radio Network presents Below the Mark.
Hello, Long Island, New York, and around the country. This is Below the Mark. I'm your host, Errol Marks, and my co-host, the wonderful, tidy-whitey man himself, Speedy Petey. Remember, you can listen to our show every single Wednesday from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. New York Eastern Time. But tonight, we had to change the times because I had work to do for the network. So now, ladies and gentlemen, and by the way, I got green on. I forgot. There's a green screen. So it's got a little bit of, a little blemish in our green screen. But anyways, that's interesting. We will change the shirt when we go to break. But anyways, you can call us at 631-500-0548. You can also go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com and download our app. Yes, guys, if you haven't done that already, you go to iOS, which is WWSRN, or Android, Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Speedy Petey, what's going on, man?
There's been a...
I forgot I was wearing green. I knew there was going to be a problem.
That hasn't happened since like the first day we had the green screen, where I wore yellow by accident or something like that.
Yeah.
I looked like I was like underwater or something.
I look like I have my underwear on. Maybe I'm naked under this shirt. I don't know.
Maybe you are, but we'll never know. It's definitely weird, though.
Yeah, it definitely looks a little weird. It's a little glow, but as you guys know, this is what we do. And unfortunately, I'm wearing a green shirt. So unfortunately, you guys are going to have to see this little glow for at least the next 25, 30 minutes. But anyways, we do this every single Wednesday, Speedy.
Sports and entertainment news.
Here we go. Why the Bears should go after Cam Newton in free agency. Why? Here's the reason why. They don't want Mitch Trubisky. It looks like Nick Foles is out after signing a 3-year deal. So why not go after Cam Newton, another quarterback that looks like he'll be in and he'll be out just as fast. So good job to the Chicago Bears. Raiders to cut Gabe Jackson after 7 seasons. Speedy.
Interesting move. He's been injury prone. Maybe that's the biggest reason why, but he's been a very good guard, steadily good guard throughout his career so far. And definitely if you need offensive line help, look at him. 5-star players the Knicks should consider trading for.
And one of them, the lead guy, Mr. Booker. I understand with the Kentucky background and Payne and obviously Julius Randle and all the players that they have from Kentucky over there. I don't know if this is a good move, and I don't want to bring a Kardashian man to New York. So I do not want Devin Booker.
I don't think it's realistic at this point anyway, with the way the Suns are playing. They are now second in the Western Conference.
Well, he wants out of there. We've heard it. So
yeah, but how much is that changing now?
I don't know. NFL rumors and news. Rams eyeing Matthew Stafford extension or restructure. Well, I think they're going to have to restructure because they want to bring in some free agents. If they plan to win a Super Bowl, they're going to need some avenues to build on, including the running back position, where I think they still need a number one running back. So, Ravens set to re-sign DT Justin Ellis, Speedy.
Depth move. They don't really need him to be a big guy, but you're not going to get him for much anyway. Good to rotate different run-stopping type defensive tackles.
I'm wearing green, ladies and gentlemen, so unfortunately you're going to see a lot of greenie. Saints release veteran tight end Jared Cook and Josh Hill. I'm not surprised about Jared Cook. Jared Cook made a lot of mistakes in the second round against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He dropped the ball in an important drop, which cost, I believe, the Saints possibly to move on against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So I wasn't surprised. And Josh Hill, I'm surprised about.
Yeah, I'm surprised at both. I'm surprised if it wasn't just one or the other, because Hill's been steadily good as a second tight end. And again, when Cook's been hurt or not there, a solid number one. Yeah, I'm surprised it was both. I'm not surprised at Cook, maybe, because he didn't fit there a lot of the time anyway. He was okay, but not like he was with Tennessee or the stretch he had with Green Bay when he was there.
Detroit Lions begin wide receiver makeover by signing Tyrell Williams. More moves to come. Tyrell Williams, are you kidding me?
He's a 2. He's not really a 1, but he's a solid 2.
I don't even think he's a 2. I think he's a 3. Seahawks to announce coaching staff, including Carl Smith and Deshaun Sheed. What do you think, Speedy?
Deshaun Sheed's a former player there, so that'll be an interesting one, trying to bring back some of the Legion of Boom concepts, I guess. I'm not sure who Carl Smith is, so that doesn't really help me, but good luck trying to build that defense back again.
NBA rumors and news, the Mavericks and Nuggets eyeing J.J. Redick. Not surprised, they need a shooter.
Yep.
And the Nuggets have been craving for a shooter all season long, which they've had a problem doing in the three-point end of the game. So they need a J.J. Redick. Bucks to sign Miles Powell to a 2-way contract. What do you think?
Well, he did well in the G League, in the Knicks G League, the Westchester Knicks, and the Knicks did not bring him up with obviously success of some other guys, so another team taking a chance on him. I always liked him at Seton Hall. He was one of my favorite players to watch, so we'll see if he does well, and I think he could on that team.
The 2-month trade request, how James Harden forced his way out of Houston. You got to read this article. It's an interesting article. Read it today. James Harden right now is an MVP candidate. He's playing great basketball, and right now, he's been standing out of all the players. Being that Kevin Durant is out for a significant amount of time, maybe till the All-Star break is over, and Kyrie Irving, enough said. I think James Harden is the real soul of this team. Should the Bulls make a dice roll trade for Spencer Dinwiddie? What do you think?
It's interesting because this will be the lowest point you could get him at, and the Bulls are still a young team, so I could see that kind of thing working if they could buy low on that. Yeah.
MLB rumors and news, the Yankees, Aaron Boone, taking medical leave to receive a pacemaker.
Yeah.
A pacemaker? How? I don't know what he did to his body. Maybe he has significant problems with his heart, but that's huge news. It really
absolutely is.
Because
hopefully it doesn't take too long either, because it's going to be a much longer season.
Much longer season, and he might miss a lot of the season. So Trevor Bauer was ready to join the Mets after March fiasco. It's effing over. What do you think?
It was some weird scenario where the hashtag LFGM hashtag, I guess, got to him a lot of the time, and he was going to sign until then, and he actually embraced it for a while, and then they were going to take it away for some reason. It was some weird fiasco. I don't know if it's really the whole reason he did that, but who knows? It could be part of it. Crazier things have happened.
Albert Pujols entering his 21st MLB season reflects on what could be his final year. Arguably one of the best right-handed power hitters of all time. Who knows if he did steroids or not? As of right now, he's never done it, and to me, he is an all-around Hall of Famer. I would say he's going to get 95, 98% of the votes. Albert Pujols, a good Samaritan for the majors. Nationals lefty John Lester to have thyroid gland removed. What do you think about that?
That could be a big blow.
This is a good rotation, by the way.
Yeah, it's a good rotation. That could be a big blow for an older pitcher. We'll see how much he has longevity with the rest of his career. But it's a one-year deal for the Nationals, so I don't think it'll hurt them too badly.
NHL rumors or news. Canada slows vaccine rollout. Could impact the NHL's bottom line next season. They have to play 82 games next season. They can't go another season without playing 82 games.
Well, the other thing, too, is they're going to keep the division realignment from this season because of that. So,
Flames, Derek Ryan clears waivers. Dominic Simon placed on waivers. Speedy.
Derek Ryan's not a bad depth piece for a third line, fourth line for any team that could be seeking offense. He always has been a productive guy, good face-off guy, too.
And final news. Wild make franchise cornerstone Zach Parise a healthy scratch for the first time in his career.
That's surprising considering the big contract that he got, and he has underwhelmed in certain years of it. I'm surprised he wouldn't have been that before that, especially with Minnesota now having less offensive depth as a whole than they used to. Now they have good young players, including a guy in Kaprizov who's going to probably be the rookie of the year at this rate, but that's surprising. That was the first time, but it doesn't surprise me with the way they're playing. They're actually on, I think, a 6-game win streak or something before last night.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is sports and entertainment news. Well, I know I'm wearing a green shirt. It's scaring people away. Unfortunately, this is what happens when you forget that you're in front of a green screen. So, all right, you're in front of a green screen. Absolutely. So I want to apologize to the fans. When we go to break, I will change this to a white or black shirt, so it won't be glowing like this. So I would like to apologize. Anyways, I want to get into, obviously, the story that came out from the New York Jets. Joe Douglas finally speaks to the press today and says some interesting things. Speedy, why don't you tell the fans a little bit about what he came out and said about Sam Darnold?
So Douglas made his first public statement on this controversy of whether the Jets should trade Sam Darnold or not. And we were saying last show that he's not going to hide anything. He's not going to show anything. He finally said to reporters that it's not off the table that they're going to trade Sam Darnold. He didn't downplay Sam Darnold as a person. He said he's just evaluating all options at this point, all trade scenarios, which is what we said would happen because of how many different scenarios are possible. He said that Sam could be our guy. Robert Saleh supports him. The organization supports him no matter what. But those options are out there, being that where they are at with the number 2 pick.
Again, and we're going to go back to Sam Darnold again because this becomes a story again. Because everybody was going back and forth. A lot of Jet fans are screaming that they want to get rid of Sam Darnold. And Joe Douglas comes out today and speaks up and says that it's not doubtful that I mean, what is the exact words that he said? It's not
set in stone.
It's not set in stone that they're going to keep Sam Darnold. That's pretty much what they said.
Yeah.
And to me, what it's telling you is more than likely Sam Darnold's getting traded. Joe Douglas didn't want to say that because he doesn't know what he's doing. He's got to go to the pro days. He's got to see, obviously, what Justin Fields is going to do at his pro day. What is Zach Wilson going to do at his pro day? What Trey Lance is going to do at their pro day? And maybe the Deshaun Watson move is not off the table. Maybe that is a thought in their mind that they still can make a move for Deshaun Watson. But when you hear Joe Douglas come out and say today that it's not off the table that he might be moved, it usually means when you hear that from a GM coming out and speaking to the press, usually you keep that quiet. It's telling everybody that he's probably going to get moved.
Yeah, and again, they're going to be patient in the whole process. They're going to work on different deals that could potentially be with that number 2 pick, because if they get a bargain, they could hang on to him. If they do well in free agency, for example, where they could afford to keep him and they trust him to build those pieces, yeah, they're going to get a bargain for it. And maybe in the Watson sweepstakes too, if the Texans decide to push him to the Jets like they want him to, because according to the report that we heard from John McClain in Houston, that the Jets are the team that they want to work with the most. It's just a matter of how stinky Douglas will be.
The reason why the Jets are the team for them to work with is because they got the number 2 pick, and they want the number 2 best quarterback in this draft class. Now, it could be Zach Wilson, it could be Justin Fields, it could be Trey Lance. Who knows? Until their pro days come out, there's no combine. So they're going to have to make their decisions on their pro day and how fast they are, how hard they throw. Obviously, the throw selection in the open field, they're going to have to decide. He's going to have to decide on who he feels that is going to fit Robert Saleh's offense and obviously Mike LaFleur's offense. But you look at everything that we've been talking about the last couple of weeks, and it's a big story. This is huge for the Jet fans because CJ DeSimone and Kevin Jackson and all those Jet fans out there that have been speaking up that they want Sam Darnold to be gone, a.k.a. Josh coming out and Josh Silverberg saying that he thinks he already knows what he thinks Sam Darnold is as a quarterback, that they want to move on from him. Unfortunately, Sam Darnold has weared out his welcome here in New York for the fans, unfortunately. Me as a fan, I want to see Sam Darnold succeed. I really do. And I think Joe Douglas, as good as a GM I think he's going to be for this organization, I think Joe Douglas really needs to sit back and sit down and talk to the management and the coaching staff if they think they can fix Sam Darnold. If they don't think they can fix him, or they think that they are better off going after a Zach Wilson or a Deshaun Watson, then you do that. But when you hear Joe Douglas come out and say that it's not off the table, that they probably are going to move on from Sam Darnold, that's telling you something. Because usually when a GM comes out and they're asking questions about Sam Darnold, they usually say, Sam's our quarterback. Sam is going to be our quarterback. But you didn't hear that from Joe Douglas. What you heard from Joe Douglas is that it's not off the table where they might move on from Sam Darnold. So that's telling you a lot about what Joe Douglas is thinking about doing in free agency and obviously in this year's draft. But there's a lot of deficiencies right now, especially at the quarterback position for a lot of teams. And to me, looking at the Miami Dolphins, that really sticks out like a sore thumb. You drafted Tua last year as your 5th pick over Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert was the offensive rookie of the year this year. He was the best quarterback in that class. We haven't even seen Jordan Love. And now you see Tua. That hip surgery obviously has shown to be a huge problem at his throwing percentage and really moving inside and out of the pocket. He is not the same quarterback he was with Alabama. Now, you look at the possibilities of Miami making a move this offseason for a quarterback. Obviously, you've heard about Russell Wilson. You've also heard about Deshaun Watson. Does a team like Miami look at possibly making a move for one of these big-time quarterbacks and giving up a significant amount of draft stock to get Russell Wilson or Deshaun Watson? The answer is probably. I still think that Miami is a team to be reckoned with. They have a very good defense. Brian Flores, to me, is one of the best young coaches in the NFL right now. I thought he was the coach of the year this past year.
I think if they didn't collapse at the end of the season, he probably would have been. But Stefanski got into the playoffs with Cleveland.
Yes, and Stefanski, who missed some of the playoffs because of COVID-19, his team played very, very well in the playoffs as well. Baker Mayfield has made a huge turnaround, and you see what he is. I still don't trust Baker Mayfield to be a franchise quarterback. A matter of fact, I'm going to bet that he's not. But I do look that Stefanski deserves every bit of credit for the growth of Baker Mayfield in that team. But you look at Miami, Tua is definitely a problem. When you're bringing in Ryan Fitzpatrick at the end of the game to make plays and not bet on your rookie quarterback that you should be trusting to be out there and making plays, that to me is a huge, huge problem for Miami, Speedy.
Yeah, it's interesting because Miami has the draft stock. Again, how much of Tua's struggles this year were because of the hip injury, and also how much of Tua's struggles are because, I mean, granted, yeah, Mike Gesicki is nice, but beyond that, who's really their receivers? Devontae Parker's their best receiver. He's not really a number 1 type. I mean, how much of that is on Tua as well? And the offensive line, while it got better, is still not great. It's better than a lot of the other rookie quarterbacks had, like Herbert, like Joe Burrow, even in Cincinnati, whose line is terrible, but still. How much of that is on it? So I think a second year is definitely going to tell who Tua really is. But Miami is also one of those flashy organizations that it wouldn't surprise me if they made that trade for a big name like a Watson or a Wilson. I think Wilson's probably more likely for them just because they need a lot more. You're not going to have to trade as much for Wilson because he's an older player. but I could see Miami doing that over Watson more.
Brandon Falco says Baker is a product of Nick Chubb. And I agree. I think Nick Chubb and that running game, this is one of the best running games. That was, to me, a top 3 running game this year. But Baker Mayfield played very, very well. And in the playoffs, you saw he made a lot of throws in that game where it could have won the game against Kansas City. And who knows, the Browns could have won the Super Bowl against Tampa. And who knows, maybe the Browns would have won the Super Bowl over Tampa.
Remember that the thing that cost them the most of that game was that
trick play.
Was a trick play. The stretch that Rashard Higgins just couldn't get into the end zone. All of a sudden, you could be looking at a different game. Cleveland's up at halftime, and you could be looking at a different game.
It was also that trick play. It was that fourth quarter trick play by Andy Reid. It was fantastic. A great play call, and I don't understand why he could have made that play call in the Super Bowl that could have kept them in the game going into the second half. To me, I blame a lot of that game against Andy Reid and his play calling in the first half of the game and the referee calls, which were horrendous. But you look at the quarterback position on a lot of teams. We talk about Matthew Stafford going to the Rams, and Matthew Stafford is definitely going to make the Rams a lot better. There's no question that he is. Jared Goff, I still think he's accustomed to a product of the coaching staff and Sean McVay. I don't believe that Matthew Stafford is a product of the coaching staff or the coach. We've seen Matthew Stafford behind some of the worst coaches in NFL history. And Matthew Stafford has had a fantastic career over there with the Lions. Even without Calvin Johnson, he's had a pretty good career over there. Now, being that he's 33 years old and going out to the West Side, that's going to be interesting, playing in front of his family, playing in LA, playing where his best friend is in Clayton Kershaw. I'm interested to see what he's going to do and how he's going to take this going back home over there in LA. But the quarterback position, this is the year of the quarterback. Who would have thought that this offseason was going to be the year of the quarterback with Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson on the table? We've seen Carson Wentz go over there to Indianapolis. Now we've seen Matthew Stafford go over there to the Rams, and then obviously the Lions getting Jared Goff. I mean, the transition of quarterbacks, what's next at the quarterback position? Is there anything crazy that's going to happen? I have been hearing a lot of names like Kirk Cousins come up over there with San Francisco. Everybody keeps talking about Deshaun Watson. Beware of Kirk Cousins, who I could see absolutely get traded to San Francisco. He fits like a glove in Kyle Shanahan's offense, and Kirk Cousins' offensive game, his change as an NFL superstar or star was with Kyle Shanahan. So he could change that team. He could change everything for San Francisco if he goes over there in San Francisco, Speedy.
Yeah, and then the other question is, how much is that really smoke screening and with the Vikings and with the 49ers? Because we heard the Vikings GM, Rick Spielman, came out and said Cousins is our quarterback at least for this year. So whatever that means means
nothing.
Yeah, whatever that means is going to be tough to tell. The 49ers wanted Kirk Cousins last year, even after the Super Bowl, and that didn't happen. So that kind of trade scenario is very interesting with Cousins on the last year of his contract. Garoppolo's on the second to last year of his massive contract. And would Minnesota want to take on that kind of contract too, knowing that they're kind of cash strapped as it is? Because odds are the 49ers are going to have to probably give back Garoppolo in that deal. And I don't know if the Vikings are going to want that.
No, they don't want Garoppolo.
And yeah, because they need so much on defense right now. That's going to make it very hard for them to be able to do that. Even though Cousins' contract is big, he's played well enough where he's made it worth it. And look what he did this year, even losing Diggs. I know Justin Jefferson came in and played phenomenally too, but losing Diggs, a lot of times that's hard in your first year.
And by the way, everybody is wondering why I'm glowing. I am wearing green in front of a green screen. I will be changing this when we go to break. I want to apologize for all the fans that I am what would they call this? It's not opaque. What do we call this?
I don't know. All I know is it looks like the
I'm glowing. I'm glowing. I
it looks like
a trophy.
It looks like the old TV screen on a channel that doesn't work.
I look really damn good. I mean, I'm glowing. I even look good glowing. There you go. Anyways, I'm looking at some of the moves that could be made this offseason. How about Derek Carr? We've been hearing Derek Carr's name in trade talks for the last 2 years since John Gruden's been there. Does John Gruden pull the trigger now? I mean, Deshaun Watson being available, do the Raiders try to go after Deshaun Watson? They're going to have to give up a significant amount, even with Derek Carr.
Yeah.
So I do look at it. The Raiders are not far away from being a playoff team. They're really not. They're a good offensive team. They have a lot of good pieces. Jacobs is one of the best young running backs in the league. Fantastic running back. He needs to stay healthy. And they have some weapons. They do. They have Waller, who I think is, to me, one of the most unbelievable offensive weapons in the league.
Top 3 tight end,
Yeah, and the top 3 all-around offensive player in the league. I really do believe that. If they use him right, he could be a guy that can get you 1,400 yards. That's how good he is. I saw what he did against the Jets this year. He completely crushed them. For 3 weeks in a row, I saw him crushing teams. So when he's healthy and he's playing at the top of his game, who's better than Darren Waller? So you know what's interesting? If you guys haven't checked out the Darren Waller story, with the drug abuse that he did in college. It is an interesting story. Steve Smith was doing the interview. He did it on the NFL Network. I think it was the NFL Network. It was a 15 to 20-minute documentary. Go on YouTube. It is interesting. Very, very interesting. But I will say this. The story behind Darren Waller, he doesn't hide anything, and he hasn't hid anything. So I think he's going to be a guy that is going to be a very, very good player for many, many years to come. He's only 26 years old, 27 years old. And I remember when he came back to the NFL, he was being brought back from working in a grocery store. So it's an amazing story for Darren Waller from a guy that was a very low draft pick because of the problems he had in college with all the talent to being a guy that was let go by the Baltimore Ravens. And then the Ravens coming out and saying, including the coach, Mr. Harbaugh, saying that he wished he was playing and doing the things that he is doing with the Raiders with the Baltimore Ravens. Of course, he would say
of course. I mean, you're going to say that. He was also lost in a tight end shuffle over there because they still had Dennis Pitta at that time, even though he couldn't stay healthy to save his life. And they still had a lot of other guys, Nick Boyle, guys like that were blocking tight ends. And the Ravens, they always like to overstash tight ends for whatever reason. So he really didn't get a chance there. And Smith was actually his teammate there, I think, for 2 years. And then he retired at the end of the 2017 season. So he would definitely know that story close. Yep. But I mean, the Raiders just gave him some new life that came out of nowhere.
Was John Gruden. And if you guys want to know the story quickly, John Gruden was watching Darren Waller play on the field, like practice on the field. He wasn't even on the team. He was on the practice squad, and he was catching the ball in the open fields during practice. And John Gruden actually said, "Who's that guy playing on the field? He's unbelievable." After the game, he made a deal and actually made a trade for Darren Waller, and he was just shipped over there to the Oakland Raiders. That's the true story. He saw him on the field practicing. He didn't even play in the game. And then at the end of the game, he made the move. He made the trade for Darren Waller. So it was John Gruden that was the one that gave Darren Waller another chance.
Yeah,
so
I'm surprised that year too with his story. He didn't win the comeback player of the year that year. That was for what he came back from and what he was before that. Like he was never thought of as anything.
Nope.
And then he has that year the second or third best tight end statistical season.
Now there are some free agents that really stand out. Jameis Winston. I don't know if he's going back to New Orleans. New Orleans. I'm sorry. I almost said San Diego, but New Orleans. I'm very interested to see if the Saints are going to make a move for a quarterback. Do they go after a Sam Darnold? Do they go after a Teddy Bridgewater if he becomes available? Do they go after Deshaun Watson? Or a Russell Wilson, who has come out and said that he would like to be traded over there to the Saints. Of course he does. And he could absolutely change that franchise. If Russell Wilson goes over there, they're the favorites of winning the whole thing. Absolutely.
Depending on what they trade, because
it doesn't matter.
Because they might have to give up
a lot of draft
pieces
picks
on their current roster because they don't have a lot of draft picks, and they also are very cash strapped right now. I think they only have like $6 million in cap space. So odds are somebody that maybe has to get paid this year, like from the 2017 draft, like a Lattimore or a Ryan Ramczyk or something like that, who's a big name player for those teams. They might have to go in that deal just to make the money work.
I would probably say they would get rid of Lattimore over Ramczyk because Ramczyk is a guy that can protect Russell Wilson. And Russell Wilson can make anybody and make defenses miss. So even though a lot of people would say Ramczyk, they don't need Ramczyk because they have a pretty good offensive line. Ramczyk was a big part of that offensive line.
And he's the best right tackle in football right now, I think.
Probably is. Yeah. So, and I remember when he was drafted. He was drafted late in the first round.
He was drafted late. I remember that draft because from the Giants' perspective, I wanted them to get Dalvin Cook, but obviously they took Evan Ingram instead. And Ramczyk was actually the next guy I wanted. If it wasn't Cook, because they needed offensive line.
He was a late first-round draft pick.
A lot of people were mocking him to the Giants because of that, especially once the Broncos took Garrett Bowles in that draft. And I thought he was going to be better than Garrett Bowles, and that turned out to be good too. But I was hoping the Giants would take him, and obviously they took Evan Ingram.
The Giants cut wide receiver Tate, linebacker Mayo with 2 years left on the deals. That's interesting. The linebacker Mayo getting delted and dropped. I was very surprised that they got rid of him. But the Giants are expected to make some moves this offseason too. Gettleman is still the GM of the team. I'm very surprised that they kept Gettleman, but the Giants are known to do that. They keep their guys in line, and the only way they're going to get rid of Gettleman is if obviously Daniel Jones fails. And right now they don't know what Daniel Jones is because they haven't put the right pieces around him to succeed. And Saquon Barkley was out for the whole season this past year, tearing his ACL and MCL. So Saquon Barkley coming back this year, they're expecting him to come back at a speedy recovery. If that's the case, they need to add some wide receiver help. I wouldn't be surprised if the Giants try to move up in this draft and try to grab themselves a wide receiver if they can. Waddle's there. I know a lot of people keep saying that they'll go after the guy from Penn State, but they need wide receiving help more than they need defensive line help. So
they do. I was judging more realistic draft scenarios where I don't think Smith and Chase definitely won't be there at 11, and Waddle probably won't be there at 11. But again,
I think Waddle will be there.
He could.
Waddle's going to fall to the early 20s.
He might. But again, I worry about him as like an all-around player, so that's why I still would prefer Parsons in that scenario. If Parsons is gone, obviously, yeah, go for it. You're right. They need receivers more. It's also
a lot more.
It's also a plentiful receiver draft, even depth-wise too, where you can get. In the second round, you can get guys that'll help you too. Whereas I think it's really Parsons and maybe Dylan Moses at the linebacker position. That's really it.
You need a playmaker. They don't have one. They really don't. I don't want to hear about Shepard. Shepard is not a playmaker. He's proven that. Evan Ingram is not a playmaker. We all know that pot hands over there. I mean, and watch, Evan Ingram will probably get traded this offseason. He'll go somewhere else and become a star. That's what usually happens to New York teams.
Maybe he'll reunite with the other New York pot hands in Carolina.
Yep, Anderson.
They need a tight end. Why not?
And that quite possibly could happen, especially with Rule over there. Rule, who is a New York Giant guy, and I wouldn't be surprised if he scoops up a Giant. But to me, there's a lot of things that could happen this offseason that can change the avenue of power, not only in the AFC, but in the NFC. And Speedy, what stands out to you? What team could come out of nowhere, make the moves that they can make in the offseason, not only through the draft, but in free agency, that could change the balance of power in the NFC or the AFC?
The NFC, it seems like the ones we talk about are what they are. Carolina is definitely one, like we were talking about, with all the money that they have.
Need a quarterback.
They need a quarterback, and they need a lot on defense. So they can make some splashes for sure because they have that money situation to work with, where their players are mostly young. In the NFC, I think that would be the biggest one to look at because they still need a lot. But remember, the Saints, again, we don't know what their quarterback situation is going to look like. They're still a good team, but they could drop off. Tampa, they might be losing pieces. So maybe they make that leap to the next playoff spot. And with all that money that they have, I think it's definitely doable. The other one I think is Washington, because Washington doesn't have many bad contracts either, where they can shop for more offense. They need a lot of offense, but their defense took a big leap from where they were, and a lot of new guys stepped up for them well too. So they're another team that I could see making some moves for receivers especially, but also maybe a running back to help out Antonio Gibson.
I am glowing, ladies and gentlemen, because I'm standing in front of a green screen and I'm wearing a green shirt. So, and CJ says to keep it, so I'm going to keep it on for a little bit longer. Nice. Declan says Evan Ingram to the Cardinals in the offseason. Next, hold on, Declan. Declan's speeding up over here, Speedy. You got to read this.
So if Carolina doesn't trade up to Fields, I think Trey Lance makes a lot of sense with that scheme in Carolina and Rule's offense is what he says.
Okay.
Yeah, it's possible. I Trey Lance that early, though, because I feel like he's a little more of – he might be a good quarterback. I feel like he's a little more of a project than the rest of them, though. I don't know if they would do that at 8. It depends – like I was saying with the Watson trade, it depends on how well they do in free agency. If they could fill that defense with enough pieces – where they don't have to draft as much, because they drafted a lot last draft and they played well to an extent, but they still need a lot. So that'll determine their quarterback future for sure. Otherwise, they might just go for a platoon guy that might just be a scheme fit, like they tried to do with Bridgewater.
Well, I do believe that Carolina is going to do anything they can to get themselves a quarterback. I don't think it's going to be Trey Lance. I could see Carolina trying to move up with the Jets. I can really see that. They want that number 2 pick. They want that Zach Wilson type of quarterback. Zach Wilson would fit like a glove over there in Carolina. You're going to have to give up a significant amount to move all the way up to 2. You're probably going to have to give up this year's first round, next year's first round, and maybe this year's second round, and maybe next year's second round as well to move all the way up for a Zach Wilson. But the Jets might be willing to do that. They really would. Because at 8, they could still get the player that they want at position. They could still keep Sam Darnold, or maybe they go after somebody else in free agency. I don't know what the Jets are planning to do. Maybe they see another quarterback to be available in the later rounds where it might fit their offense. I don't know. And maybe they think Sam Darnold could be fixed. But what we heard with Joe Douglas today is they don't. So, Jimmy Jardine says not to Trey Lance, and I'm sorry, he says
no to Trey Lance is not a first rounder. Yeah, I mean, he's going to be a first rounder.
Yes, he's a first.
He'll be a first rounder.
Yes,
I just don't know if a team like the Panthers are right now in the position to do that right now, because they still need a lot and they have the money to spend to be able to improve in other areas. If they do, yes, they can maybe gamble on that. But also, again, is he really worth that level of a pick is another question for a team in that current state. Like, I think there's some teams in the top 10, if they were in a better situation, that could do that if they think Lance is the guy. But I don't know if the Panthers are that team.
Jimmy Jardine says, you can't tell me that people have the issue with Zach Wilson's strength of schedule and hand Lance a pass for a starting 17 games in a 1A AA school. So 1AA school. So, that's a good point, Jimmy. It really is, because he's not playing in those big divisions. He's not playing for an SEC team. But here's again, Carson Wentz never played in, he played in a 1AA. Yeah, he played for a 1AA team. So did Jimmy Garoppolo. So did Tony Romo. There are a lot of quarterbacks that have come out and been sick. Steve Young.
Phil Simms too.
Yeah, all these guys, they all came from that, and they all became great players. So also, you'll look at the big picture of where the quarterback position is. If you don't go after a quarterback this year, what are you going to do next year when it's not a quarterback class? And that's why this is such an important quarterback class. That's why the Jets are right now in the driver's seat, because next year's quarterback class is garbage. It is garbage. Everything that everybody is saying, it's not good. So you're looking at there are going to be teams that are going to be lining up for that number 2 pick, lining up for that number 3 pick with Miami if they want to try to move up and try to get a Justin Fields or Zach Wilson. Trey Lance is sticking out like a sore thumb, and I'm telling you right now, if he falls to the Patriots are going to scoop him right up.
Yeah, that's a team I see makes a little more sense, because the offensive need is so desperate for the Patriots, and the need for that new franchise young quarterback type thing. Because again, we kind of like we were saying with the Saints and other teams like that, like you wonder when those guys are finally going to come to those teams with the veteran quarterbacks forever, like Tom Brady was with the Patriots. So that's a matter of time. Like I said, it just depends on that kind of scenario. But the Patriots already have not a lot of super loaded talent, but they already have enough talent in comparison to some of the other teams in that top half of the draft where they can afford to take that kind of chance. And Belichick, if he likes a guy, he'll get him.
And I think Bill Belichick likes him a lot. Jimmy Jardine says, yes, but Carson Wentz was a 4-year starter at ND State, not 17 total games. And again, I understand what you're saying, Jimmy. But he is also playing for a 1AA football team. And it doesn't matter how many games they play. That's where they come from. That's where they're playing for. Look at Josh Allen. Josh Allen played for a 1AA football team too. And look what he's doing right now in the NFL. He's one of the best young quarterbacks in the NFL, top 5, top 6. So, yes, you can argue your points and you can go back and forth on who fits what. I think San Francisco does not trust Jimmy Garoppolo, even though it's come out and saying, John Lynch coming out and saying that Jimmy Garoppolo will be his starter in the beginning of the year. He said it on 2 radio shows, not 1, but 2 of them. So maybe there's some truth to it. But I think if the right guy comes becomes free, maybe a Sam Darnold, and you don't have to trade that much for Sam Darnold. Maybe you flip-flop first-round draft picks, 12. You give Sam Darnold, you give them the 23rd, and you move all the way up to 12. I could see the Jets doing that. I could.
Declan, to answer your question, the Patriots are not going to take on his contract the way it is right now. They kind of traded him at the time in anticipation of that. They're not going to take it on. If he gets cut by San Francisco, if they bring in somebody like that, yeah, maybe he could go back to the Patriots on a 3-year deal that's a little more manageable for them, because the Patriots will get money back, but there's no way Bill Belichick's going to take on that kind of deal in that kind of team the way it's structured.
Jimmy Jardine says, oh, for sure, Errol. I'm a Boise State Bronco fan, so I am all about the small schools. My issue is total amount of games that Lance has played, not the school itself. And I agree with you. I understand that Trey Lance has not had, didn't have much of a season this year. Matter of fact, he played one game, and that was it.
Mm-hmm. They didn't have their full season. Now they're actually starting the spring season.
But you can't blame that on Trey Lance. Right. You can't blame that on Trey Lance that he didn't have a season. That has to do with the COVID-19 situation. And who knows what Trey Lance would have been this year if he played a full season. He could have been even a bigger, a larger pick. He could have been moved. He could move all the way up from the teens all the way up to the top 4, top 5 if Trey Lance had a season. Some people say Trey Lance could be the best quarterback in this class.
Yeah, the other thing to factor in, too, with that is he played for the FCS school that has been like the Alabama equivalent of the FCS. They had a 39-game winning streak. They had multiple national FCS championships. I mean, he has that kind of edge to him where that can make a difference in terms of how good he looked too. That's what makes it very tough to judge as a prospect. And even though he played only 17 games, he also comes from the fact that Carson Wentz was there before him. There was in between, there was Easton Stick, who was a good college quarterback. And now he's, I think, on the Chargers as a backup. So they had talented guys there beforehand. So it's not like Lance didn't get his chance, and he played well in that chance. So it's a very tricky situation to judge based on that. And 17 games, yeah, it might not be a great sample size, but for some schools like that, it might be the one you're getting.
And I don't know if he's going to make a team a Super Bowl contender. And if he goes to the Patriots, he's not starting next year. Even if he gets drafted, Bill Belichick isn't starting him. He's going to go. I could see Jacoby Brissett going over there, Jimmy Garoppolo. He's going to bring somebody that knows the offense, that can run his offense, and that can somehow squeak them into the playoffs. They're going to have a better team this year. Their players are coming back from COVID-19. They're going to be substantially better. But again, they're in a division now with the Buffalo Bills that is one of the best teams right now in all of the AFC. They're an up-and-coming team like Miami who needs to figure out who their quarterback is. If it isn't Tua, they need to make a decision on what they're going to do in the draft. They're drafting 3. Then you draft Justin Fields or Zach Wilson at 3 and move on from Tua, or try to trade Tua to one of these teams that maybe you can get a second and a third, or maybe a late first-round draft pick. Maybe you trade them to the Saints, or maybe you trade him to San Francisco, and maybe Kyle Shanahan can figure him out. I don't know, but you have to make a decision right now. There are a lot of teams that are going to have to make a decision very soon who their quarterback, including the New York Jets, with Joe Douglas coming out and saying today that he's unsure if Sam Darnold is the quarterback of the future. Who is saying this? Jimmy Jardine said something. Oh, hold on. Yep, he said that. Go ahead.
I got it. Lance could be really good, and I get the schedule in 2020 wasn't his fault. There's just a lot of hype around him that is premature. Show me another 10 to 15 games at the level he already plays at, and I will be on board. I don't think people are hyping him as much as they did early in the draft process, though, either, Jimmy. And I think it's died down in comparison to, obviously, with Lawrence and Fields being number 1, in comparison to Zach Wilson, who's now getting this love. Even that 2 SEC quarterbacks with Trask and with Jones having the years they have, I think it's died down in comparison to that. And he's fallen from kind of that obvious third guy to, is he the fifth guy? Is he the 6th guy? Something like that.
Declan says people were giving Zach Wilson a ton of criticism for going to BYU, and now those same people are projecting him to go number 2 ahead of Justin Fields. So I think Trey Lance going to ND State won't really hurt him. I agree with you. I do agree with Declan too. You could go back and forth on who the better quarterback is out of these 3 quarterbacks: Trey Lance, Zach Wilson, and Justin Fields, because we'll never know until 3-4 years down the road. Maybe you'll know right away if Zach Wilson turns up to be the number 2 pick and he lights Broadway on fire if he goes to the Jets, well, then it's Zach Wilson. But Justin Fields could do the same wherever he's going, if it's not Miami or the Carolina or maybe Atlanta. I think Atlanta, if he falls to Atlanta, they're not passing up on Justin Fields.
I don't think so either.
Yeah, I think if he falls to Atlanta, you keep Matt Ryan for one more year, or you trade Matt Ryan.
Yeah.
You can get a second, maybe a third-round draft pick for Matt Ryan. You move on for him. Maybe trade him to San Francisco. He would fit like a glove over there.
Yep.
He would fit like a glove over there, and you'll be a Super Bowl contender with Kyle Shanahan, because guess what? Kyle Shanahan was his offensive coordinator when they went to the Super Bowl. So, again, that could happen too. There's so much that could happen now as the offseason progresses, and really when free agency opens up. So what do we got over here? Jimmy Jardine, you could read that.
I criticized Wilson for going to BYU because he decommitted from Boise State to do it. All right, that's just a rivalry thing. Those are two definitely big Mountain West rivals. Declan says, yeah, I remember hyping him up back in May 2020 on a Facebook Live with Greg Polius as number 3 behind Lawrence and Fields. Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay. Yeah,
it's different now.
I think people had him in that fringe area because he played decently the year before. Not great, but decently. Yeah, but again, at the same time, Lance was already that more established guy, so he wasn't over Wilson, and Wilson got the hype later on. So if you're judging the two hype factors of the small schools, they're going to cancel out to an extent, but obviously recency bias will take into effect. And the other difference too, why Wilson is being more hyped than Lance, is the schedule they played this year. Even though it was a quote unquote weaker schedule, they didn't know who they were playing a lot of the time either. So that proves a lot of mental toughness with Wilson too, in comparison to Lance, where while he didn't have a season, they know who they are in the FCS.
And also Mahomes, everybody keeps talking about Mahomes, and Mahomes is a fabulous quarterback. He's also predicated on the team that he is on. I mean, he has Andy Reid, one of the best offensive minds in the league. You have arguably the best tight end in the league, and you have one of the top 3 wide receivers in the league in Hill. So you have a tremendous amount of weapons. You have Sammy Watkins. You have a great running game too. You have so many weapons over there with Andy Reid's offense. And Andy Reid is a mastermind in that offense. So you put any quarterback with Andy Reid, I think Andy Reid will figure something out and make them, and I wouldn't say that would make him Patrick Mahomes, but he would make him pretty damn good. I mean, if you put Sam Darnold right now with Andy Reid, I think Sam Darnold will be very successful over there. I do. And by the way, Declan says Matt Ryan going to San Francisco, that would be a good move. Mm-hmm. It would be a good move. Absolutely be a good move. And that could happen. Justin Fields getting drafted, or Zach Wilson getting drafted I think they're drafting 5.
They're 4.
A 4.
Mm-hmm.
I could see that happening, and I can't see them keeping Matt Ryan if they go after Justin Fields, because I think with a rookie coach, with bringing in a coach that has never coached before in the NFL. I mean, he was an offensive coordinator, but this is his first coaching job. Right. He probably wants his own quarterback, and Matt Ryan might not fit his strategic offense. Now, Ryan Tannehill fit his offense, so why wouldn't Matt Ryan fit his offense? Right. 2 slow quarterbacks, but Ryan Tannehill is a lot faster than Matt Ryan. So,
but Matt Ryan is a bigger arm than
yes.
Tannehill. So even now he's older too. Even judging that.
And if you draft a quarterback, I think you want to get the young quarterback in right away with the Atlanta Falcons,
especially if it's Fields. He's ready.
And I can tell you this: Julio Jones will probably be on his way out if they bring in a rookie quarterback, which I believe is going to happen. I think Julio Jones is going to be available to trade for, and I wouldn't be surprised if New England Patriots or the San Francisco 49ers or one of those teams, Miami, will look to bring in a Julio Jones to solidify their wide receiving problems over there.
Why not package them both to San Francisco? Why not? Maybe you could re-sign Mohamed Sanu and Tevin Coleman while you're at it. Just have the whole 2016 Falcons offense.
Definitely not.
That was a joke.
Definitely not. I will say this. It's going to be an interesting offseason for the NFL. It is, because there's so many things that could happen. And there's so many capabilities. And by the way, Declan's saying true, but Alex Smith wasn't half as good as Mahomes. You're absolutely right. But here's the thing. Look everywhere Alex Smith has gone. Look at the success he's had. Go over there to San Francisco. He played in an NFC title game. Go to Kansas City. I think he played in an AFC title game.
He did not. He
played in the second round.
He played in the second round. He had success. He had success. He played well in every playoff game for the most part. The only one he really struggled at was that second round game. I think it was against the Steelers, and they lost 18-16. It's the Steelers had 6 field goals for whatever reason. Yeah, that was really the only game he struggled. He played well in the playoffs for them, even when the team lost. Because remember, there was also that this first game, they had a 44-21 lead against the Colts, and they blew that too. So
Declan says, can't wait to see a huge leads they'll blow if there's a Shanahan.
You're one of them
reunion.
too.
I agree with you.
You're agreeing with Errol, Declan.
Yes.
This has been an ongoing debate that will not happen again.
I don't like Kyle Shanahan. I never did. I know there's a Kyle Shanahan disciple going to the Jets and Mike LaFleur. I like Mike LaFleur because I don't think he's a wide receiver coach. I think he's going to try to air the ball out more than run the ball. I think he's going to be a different type of offensive coordinator than a Kyle Shanahan or his brother Matt LaFleur. I think he's going to try to use the open field to try to get Denzel Mims involved more, or Jamison Crowder more involved in the game in the open field. So I think it's going to be a little bit different than what we've seen with the San Francisco 49ers. But Alex Smith, you see what he did with Washington. You saw him go to Washington, and even this year, coming back the way he did and doing having the success that he did this year has been absolutely amazing. Alex Smith is the most comeback player of the year. Declan says, great point, Errol. The last thing a new coach wants is a quarterback on his last 2-3 years, because that could be as long as the coach lasts if he's handicapped to an aging quarterback. Absolutely.
Well, we know that, but there's also Matt Ryan has a big contract. Jimmy G has a big contract. I think that kind of cancels out in a sense, where if they want his guy, because remember, Garoppolo wasn't Shanahan's guy. Garoppolo was mainly John Lynch's guy, and they got a decent bargain for him at the time, so they went after it.
It was a great bargain.
Yeah, with the way the Patriots was trading at that time, it was very.
What did they get? Give up a second round?
Just a second round pick at the time, which for a young quarterback that was winning that many games, I'm surprised they didn't get more. The Patriots, but still, that I think cancels out in a sense, because the Niners have a good roster, but they're already cash strapped as it is without enough big contracts. So at that point, you might as well try to do what's going to work for you. And Matt Ryan in Kyle Shanahan's offense, granted with a lot more talent than he has in San Francisco, but was still an MVP candidate.
Mark my words, Jimmy Garoppolo will be playing for the New England Patriots next year. That's where he's going to go. I absolutely believe it. John Lynch got really helped by Bill Belichick when Jimmy Garoppolo went to the San Francisco 49ers. I think John Lynch will return the favor and practically give Jimmy Garoppolo for nothing, or release him where he can go over there to the Patriots. And I think he will solidify what the Patriots have been missing since Tom Brady has left, and that's a quarterback. I think Jimmy Garoppolo fits like a glove over there with Josh McDaniels and Bill Belichick's offense and the running game over there. They have a pretty good running game over there. Harris looks like he's going to be a player. I really like what I saw with Harris this year. Fantastic running back. And they always find these running backs. It's really quite amazing. I think Harris was a second or third round draft pick. And what he is, I mean, his brother's coming out of the draft this year. Some people are projecting him to be a late first-round draft pick, early second-round draft pick. So it's going to be an interesting offseason, and not only in the draft, because like I said with the draft, there wasn't really a season. There really wasn't. So now it's open season on the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th round, where you can get yourself a first-round talent in the 6th or possibly 5th round. And that's where these GMs come in, where you're a good scout. If you're a good scout, you're going to find these guys that didn't have much of a season this year. You watched tapes last year and seen enough of them to say that this kid could be an NFL talented player where you could fit your Super Bowl contending team.
Yeah,
So
yeah, that's any draft. You have to judge body of work, not just 2 games.
not like this year.
Well,
not
yeah,
like
fair,
this year.
fair.
Not like this year. This is going to throw you a curveball. There's a lot of curveballs getting thrown in free agency this year, because there's so many available players in so many positions. There's cornerbacks that are available, wide receivers that are available, offensive linemen, guards, offensive tackles. I mean, this is a great year for free agents. It really is. And that's why you need the money. Teams like the Cowboys that are strapped right now, and I don't want to hear it from the Bees. They're strapped. And then there are teams like the Patriots that aren't strapped. They have the 6th most money in the NFL. The Jets, the Jaguars. Expect the Jaguars to make a lot of moves. They're going to make a lot of that. Whoever fits Urban Meyer's offense, and everybody knows what Urban Meyer likes to do. He likes to run the ball. That so much is true. And he loves these slot wide receivers and big tight ends. He loves it. So don't be surprised if one way or another they try to move up, because they have 2 first-round draft picks. They can move up to try to get this kid Pitts, because Pitt would be perfect. Comes from the Florida offense. He's a Florida disciple. I could see that. And if Pitt falls out of the top 10, and quite possibly could, because a lot of people are saying that he might, I could see the Jaguars trying to move up and getting him and snagging him up. Remember, they have 11 picks this year in the draft, which is the most in the NFL. So they can do a lot of things with the draft stock and the money that they have. When we come back, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get into some NBA conversation. James Harden, is he an MVP candidate? And the New York Knicks losing against the San Antonio Spurs when they had the lead going into the second half. I don't know what happened defensively, the breakdown of the New York Knicks. Do the Knicks make a big trade at the trade deadline, which is a job skipping away?
Yeah, I think it's March 12th. They extended it this year.
It's next week.
Okay.
Actually, my surgery day for my neck.
Yeah.
So it's going to be very, very interesting. Is the Knicks going to make a big trade for a Bradley Beal? Or maybe an Andre Drummond, maybe somebody else. We will get into that when we come back here on Below the Mic.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Do current market conditions have you nervous? Our experienced team of financial professionals at Heritage Harbor Financial Associates understands that no 2 investors are alike. We all have different goals, needs, and appetites for risk. That's why the one-size-fits-all approach does not work, especially when planning for retirement. At Heritage Harbor Financial Associates, we analyze your unique investment style so that you can work toward your individual retirement goals on your terms. Heritage Harbor Financial Associates can help you take steps to reach your retirement goals by providing a wide array of financial products to fit your needs, even for the risk adverse. Give us a call at 631-331-6599 to learn more or to set up an appointment with one of our financial professionals. You can also find us on the web at hhfa.org or on Facebook at facebook.com/hhfa.org. Our number again is 631-331-6599. That's 631-331-6599. Investments in stock, bonds, and mutual funds and variable annuities are not FDIC insured and are subject to fluctuation in value and market risk, including loss of principal. Heritage Harbor Financial Associates offers securities through AXA Advisors, LLC, New York, New York. Member FINRA, SIPC, annuity and insurance products offered through AXA Network, LLC.
You're listening to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
DJ Speedy, ladies and gentlemen. Whoa! Little Tiesto, Chainsmokers, split this baby up, baby. What? As you guys know, this is Below the Mic. I'm your host, Errol Marks. My co-host, DJ Speedy Tidy Whitey Man. Remember, you can call us at 631-500-0548. You can go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. Download our app at WWSRN on iOS, which is Apple or Android. Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Speedy, I know you like to get us pumped up. You like to get the fans pumped up before we get back from break, but are you pumped up to get into some NBA conversation?
I am. Also, good riddance to the glow. It had a nice run.
Yes, I changed the shirt. We went to break. I had to change the glow. I know CJ DeSimone liked when I was glowing. I don't understand why, but I actually look normal now. It's not. There's no glowing sensation now. But I want to get into some NBA conversation because the NBA the trade market is about to open up. The trade deadline is about, I would say, almost a week away. And you look at the New York teams, and I look at the Brooklyn Nets. First of all, James Harden is so far, since he's been traded to the Brooklyn Nets, he has been, to me, the heart and soul of that team, because Kevin Durant has not been healthy really since he's come to the team. And Kyrie Irving, his head's in all different places. There's one game that Kyrie Irving could score 36, 37 points, and then there are other games that he's shooting more shots than practically the whole team, and he can't hit a lick. So I understand that Kyrie Irving wants to add some more offense to the Nets game because of all the problems that they have and the deficiencies that they have off the bench. But The Nets need rebounding. They need a guy that's going to give them time on the court because, let's be honest, DeAndre Jordan is an old man. Okay, he is. DeAndre Jordan is an old man that goes up and down the court. He's a good rebounder. Is he a good offensive player? He was never a good offensive player. He can't shoot a foul shot for a lick of nothing. I mean, really, you're looking at the whole big picture of where they are and what they are, the Brooklyn Nets. I don't know what they are yet because I don't know if this is the team that we're going to see moving forward in the second half of the season for the NBA. The question is, and James Harden's playing great basketball. By the way, Greg Paulus says he's the MVP. I don't know if he's the MVP. I would say Jokic right now is the MVP of the NBA. I think Jokic is having a sensational year, triple-double. He's averaging, I think, 28, 29 points, and I think he has like 12, 13 rebounds, and he's 7 or 8 assists a game.
It's something like 8.5, yeah.
It's crazy. And he's also a great team player, great defensive player, great team defensive player. So Jokic right now, in my eyes, he's the MVP, even though the Nuggets are not having a very good season. But you look at the Brooklyn Nets, and what are they missing? They're missing size, they're missing rebounding, and they're missing points off the bench. So, Speedy, you look at the free agency, I mean the trade market right now. What's out there? We're hearing J.J. Redick out there. We're hearing Bradley Beal out there. We're hearing Mr. Houston over there that wants to go to the Knicks. And you know I'm talking about Oladipo. You're hearing Andre Drummond. What guy stands out where the Nets might have an opportunity to make a move or make a swap with another team to bring them to the organization?
It's interesting because they could use more different just specialty defender type players. And there are teams that have plenty of those types of guys. Two teams that might be looking for like younger type defensive players to be selling off are the Pistons and the Magic because they're both not having good years. So I'm not saying the Magic are going to trade like somebody like Vucevic because he's having a great year, but some of their other young big men, I could see them trying to move like a Jonathan Isaac or a Mo Bamba, where the Nets, they're not going to have a lot to trade, but maybe they could get him on the cheap because they're not having great years. Those are definitely guys to look at. The Pistons have a couple young guys too, guys that have been young players that have just really have not been good in the draft too. The Cavaliers are another one. Kevin Love has been shopped around a lot, and the Nets have been brought up to them. I don't know how much they're going to have to trade for that, but that's been another name that's very interesting.
They're going to have to give up something.
See, the thing is with Drummond is he's very similar, even though obviously he's a lot better, but he's very similar to Jordan, where I don't know if that's the defender type they need. They don't need a more like wing hybrid forward type defender and inside and outside as well, because I mean, who's perimeter defending on that team? I mean, Kevin Durant's doing all the work there, and your next best is probably Joe Harris, who's not a good defensive player either.
Yeah, and again, you're looking at the Nets and you're trying to find who they can trade and what they can bring in. Now, Spencer Dinwiddie looks like a player that everybody keeps talking about. The Nets are planning to move. They're not going to be able to re-sign him next year because they're going to have to overpay James Harden if they plan to keep James Harden there, and they are planning to do that, especially the way he's playing right now for the team and the organization. So what are they going to do when it comes to who are they going to trade? Are they going to trade Harris? Joe Harris is a three-point shooter. They need that kind of weapon in the playoffs. They need three-point shooters in the playoffs, even with Kevin Durant there and James Harden there and even Kyrie Irving. You're going to need a guy that can come off the bench and give you strategic points in every kind of way, or Joe Harris starting, where he's going to give you, he's going to spread out the offense and spread out the perimeter, which you need to do in basketball, especially in the playoffs when it becomes a half-court game. But it's so interesting because who do they got? Now, Spencer Dinwiddie, what team is going to give up a significant amount for Spencer Dinwiddie when you're not going to have him for the rest of the year? I don't know. Maybe Chicago. Maybe Chicago's willing to give up one of their pieces or something like that to bring in a Spencer Dinwiddie, a point guard, a natural point guard, which they don't have. There are teams out there that don't have natural point guards, but are they willing? Now, the Pistons. The Pistons are another team that are probably looking to get rid of certain players. Who are they going to give up? And what are the Nets going to offer to the Pistons where that will kind of rejuvenate this Brooklyn Nets team as far as rebounding and defense? I don't know what's out there. Andre Drummond is the guy that sticks out like a sore thumb, but you're going to have to give up a significant amount for him, and you got to pay his contract. And he still owns his bird rights. So there's actually, he doesn't have any bird rights. So there's so many different things that could happen for a team. What are they going to do? And I think the Brooklyn Nets are going to try to make a move. I don't know what they're going to get. Maybe they get the other big man from the Cleveland Cavaliers. Who's the other guy?
Seti Osman?
No. Oh,
not the Turkish guy?
The guy that came from the Lakers, who played for the Lakers last year.
Who played for the Lakers?
The rebounder. Oh my God, I can't believe I forgot his name. I'm sorry. Speedy, my analytic guy who doesn't know. Go to the Cavaliers and go to their big man right there.
JaVale McGee.
JaVale McGee.
I forgot
That's
he was
right.
there. Jeez.
JaVale McGee.
Wow.
JaVale McGee is the guy that I think it could be available for the Brooklyn Nets. You're still going to have to give up something for him. Maybe the Brooklyn Nets give up a Spencer Dinwiddie and send him over there, because you're going to have to give up something like that to get somebody like JaVale McGee. Is JaVale McGee a superstar? No, but he gives you that deficiency that you don't have, you're missing. The lack of rebounding, a lack of block shots, and that kind of player. You don't need offense, that's for sure. Right. As far as I'm concerned, maybe in the playoffs you do. If Kyrie Irving gets, Kyrie Irving's not the hot player that he is, or Kevin Durant's not hot, or James Harden's not hot. But there's so many things that could happen at the trade deadline, and with the New York Knicks. And by the way, Jimmy Jardine saying Tim Duncan, or Michael Jordan coming out of retirement. Maybe so. I mean. Tim Duncan coming out of retirement wouldn't be so bad for the Brooklyn Nets, because
usually players come out of retirement to win a championship. Duncan already has enough of those. So
yeah,
Michael Jordan.
I don't think Tim Duncan would come out of retirement, but I do say this: the New York Knicks. There are a lot of rumors coming out from Madison Square Garden that the Knicks are very interested in Victor Oladipo and Bradley Beal. Now, Bradley Beal is going to cost the Knicks a lot. Just think. Bradley Beal is one of the top 5 players in the league right now, probably the best wing all-around offensive player in the league right now. The guy has more. He's scored, I think he's had 10, 40 or more point games, which is more than any player.
And 8 of them have been losses.
It's unbelievable. So you look at somebody like Bradley Beal. To get Bradley Beal, you're going to have to give up a significant. You might have to give up Emmanuel Quigley or Obi Toppin or an RG Barrett in this trade, and you're going to have to give up at least 3 or 4 first-round draft picks, and maybe even more than that. Maybe a Kevin Knox and added into it to get a Bradley Beal. Is he worth that much of draft stock that you were building over these years? I don't know if Rose is going to be willing to do that. Now, a guy like a Victor Oladipo, you can get on the cheap. I think you can, because he's a free agent. He didn't sign the 2-year extension that the Houston Rockets have offered him. I think it was 2 years, $40-something million.
Yep.
He didn't take the offer. So I think a Victor Oladipo would be a guy that the Knicks could get into, as far as a trade stock. But you're gonna have to give up a Kevin Knox and maybe somebody else for Kevin Knox, and maybe a first round and somebody else for him. A Ntilikina or something like that. Maybe even more than that. So getting Victor Oladipo, you're still going to have to give up at least 4 pieces to get a Victor Oladipo. And Andre Drummond is another name that's been swirling around with the New York Knicks. Now, Andre Drummond is one of the best centers in the league, one of the top 3 centers in the league. I mean, he's averaging 17 and 13. He's a fantastic player. Can't shoot a foul shot if you paid him to. He's just like Shaquille O'Neal. Is he better than Robinson? Yes.
Yeah.
Is he better than any center that the Knicks have? Yes. But is he worth the money that you're going to have to pay him in the offseason? The answer is no.
And he's not worth it for the fact of they have enough defense already. The Knicks are number 1 in a lot of defensive categories, even though they struggled yesterday. They were number 1 in opposing shot field goal percentage, points per game. I think the only thing they weren't in terms of main defensive stats was defensive rating, which they were 3rd, which is still amazing. So the Knicks don't need that type of player. The Knicks, if they're going to make a trade, they're going to make a trade for offensive type players, whether it's one big name like Oladipo or whether it's veteran guys to maybe help out the young players that have played well for them. And obviously,
you don't think Bradley Beal, right?
I don't think Bradley Beal is a trade. I think that could be a free agent possibility if
that's a couple of years away.
Yeah, but again, I think that's definitely an option, because the Knicks are going to get more enticing as the times go along.
By the time it becomes a free agent, he's 30 years old.
I still think he's fine though. He's durable. He's a good, like we were saying, a good team player. He really makes that team better. Even when Wall was hurt, the team oftentimes played better with him just on his own without Wall. So as weird as that sounds, I still think that'll be okay in terms of what the Knicks could end up doing there. And again, even with something like Oladipo too, if they don't trade for him, he's a nice free agent.
Remember what I told you. Zion Williamson is going to be a New York Knick. I've said this over and over and over again. He will not stay with the Pelicans. He will not. You watch when his rookie contract is up, the last year of his rookie contract, you're going to hear things swirling that he wants out of the Pelicans. And don't be surprised if the Knicks are that team that are one of the top 3 teams he wants to go to, because him and RJ are best friends. And he wanted to come to the New York Knicks. He wanted to be the centerpiece for the New York Knicks moving forward. A lot of Knicks fans didn't want him, a.k.a. Matty Caps and everybody else, a part of this organization, of the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. But I wanted Zion Williamson, and you see what he's doing right now. He's one of the best players in the league. He really is.
Wait, if Zion Williamson ends up going to the Knicks, we need a live Vinny Rubo cam.
It's crazy.
He'll salivate over that.
And RJ Barrett's having a sensational year too. And say whatever you want. A lot of people are talking about maybe trading RJ Barrett for Bradley Beal. The Knicks should be nuts trading RJ Barrett for Bradley Beal. And I'm going to tell you why. As good as Bradley Beal is 26, going to be 27 by the end of the year. RJ Barrett is 20 years old. He's going to be 21 years old. He is a kid. He is average. He went from almost 14 points a game last year to almost 18, 19 points this year. He's only going to get better. He's going to become a better offensive player under Tom Thibodeau and this style of offense. Why would you trade a piece like this, even for Bradley Beal? The only way I trade an RJ Barrett, the only way for like a Zion Williamson or a Ja Morant, I don't trade him. I trade him for another young player, a young superstar. I don't trade him for anything but that. You can't trade a guy this good. You can't. The Knicks will get killed if he goes somewhere else and he succeeds. They will get killed. And I'm telling you right now, all the Knicks fans that hate on RJ Barrett, it's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Why? Because his 3-point shot has gotten better this year. And you say whatever you want, it's gotten better this year. His offensive game has gotten better this year. His all-around game got better. Even his foul shooting has gotten better this year. That's not saying much, but it's gotten better.
It's up from 67% to 72 or something,
which is
that.
good.
Which is fine. Yeah,
yeah.
Makes an improvement.
If he becomes a 75, 76% free throw shooter, that's good.
Mm-hmm. That's the league average. That's fine.
Yeah, that's good, and he's almost there. So RJ is getting better at his weaknesses. Jimmy Jardine says there is a team called the Pelicans. What intern called that one?
Jimmy, I'll tell you a funny story about that because one of my friends in college and I were actually joking about that when they made the name at the time, and we heard that they were changing their name from the Hornets, and we actually wanted them to be called the New Orleans Voodoo. So
I thought
we were mocking it forever when they were called the Pelicans because they're like not the intimidating type of bird.
Well, I always thought that the new Seattle hockey team should have been called the Seattle Grunge, not the Crockett's. Okay, it's ridiculous. It is a terrible name. I don't know who there are so many people that said they like that name and they like the jersey. It's a terrible jersey. It's so ugly. Ugh. Me as a hockey player, if I ever played pro hockey, which I would have been a pro hockey player, I would not want to play for the Crockett's. I wouldn't want to play with that jersey. I wouldn't want to play under that emblem. So, to me, disgusting. But
hopefully Washington makes up for the New Orleans botching of a good voodoo name and calls their team the Washington Sentinels.
Do you see somebody like the Curry offensive
those Splash Brothers,
the little Splash Brothers making a move? Do you see that happening?
I don't know, because I don't know how much they have right now to trade because they've lost a lot of depth. I know obviously they drafted Wiseman, so I mean, if they want to move him for a star, I don't think they will either. I'm just saying if they want to move him for a star, that's an option. Who knows what Jared?
He's not having a good year either.
Well, he was doing very well before his injury. Then he started to slow down since he came back. So that's kind of made it hard for him. Kind of like
very well. I mean, he was averaging 12 points a game.
At the beginning of the season, he was averaging 18, but once his injury, he really kind of got lost in the shuffle in that offense, especially since that offense played well at that time. And Steph Curry kind of played really well after he got hurt, so they kind of stuck with that.
Who the hell
game
was
plan.
Thinking that he was the MVP of the league? Who the hell on social media?
There's a couple people that have thought that.
Ridiculous. This team is not that good. They're not that good. And what makes anybody think that with Klay Thompson coming back, they're going to be that much better? Who thinks that?
Well, but you don't know how Klay Thompson will come back.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
He's not going to be the same player.
Klay Thompson, I think, will be fine shooting-wise. Where I worry about him coming back is his defense, because that was a big area for them with not a lot of other good perimeter defenders, the way he rose his game in that 2015-2016 season.
I think Klay Thompson, I think he's done. I don't think he's going to be the same player. Remember, he tore his Achilles after tearing his ACL. He's been out for 2 years. He's not going to be the same player, Speedy. He hasn't played basketball for 2 years.
That's why I said I think he'll only be fine shooting wise.
I don't think
he's still going to have the range.
I don't think he's going to be shine. I don't think he's going to be fine with that either.
I still think so, because he wasn't really the create a shot and like that those big step back jumpers like you saw Durant do. He was really more of the catch and shoot type of guy in that offense. Obviously a great shooter of that. He can make contested threes, stuff like that. But that was more of his game. And he wasn't the guy passing the ball as much, ball handling. So I don't think that's really going to be as big of a loss. Even if he's not the same player, which we don't expect him to be, I still think he'll be productive as a shooter from that sense. The defense is where they'll be the biggest loss.
When we come back, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get into some baseball conversation. Yes, pitchers and catchers and spring training has started. The Yankees playing decent baseball. The Mets, not so much. When we come back, we will get into spring training and what we have seen so far for both New York teams and throughout the league here on Below the Mic.
You're listening to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Edward Lehman has been a trusted insurance advisor for over 16 years with insurance solutions for auto, home, commercial, life, and retirement. He's located at 54 Sunnyside Boulevard, Suite H in Plainview. That's just 1,000 feet south of 495. Local agent, local advice. The time to think about insurance is before you need it. So do yourself a favor, and before you pay your next insurance bill, give Ed and his team a call, 516-935-3900, or visit him online at www.allstate.com/EL. Edward H. Lehman Insurance is your trusted insurance advisor.
You're listening to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. This is Below the Mic. I'm your host, Errol Marks. My co-host, Mr. Tidy Whitey Man, Speedy Petey. Remember, you can call us at 631-500-0548. Go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. Download our app on iOS, which is Apple, WWSRN, or Android, Worldwide Sports Radio Network. By the way, I actually went shopping for a phone today. Well, I wasn't going shopping. I was looking for a used phone. I got a brand new phone, but it's an iPhone 7 because one of the guys on our network said that there's an app, a new app, we're not going to talk about it on live air, that is new and exclusive, and it'll be out this summer, and nobody knows about it, which can help our network. So I actually went out and spent $200 on a phone. I don't even like iPhones. I can't stand it. I'll probably wind up giving the phone to Speedy one way or another. But I'm going to activate the phone, and it'll be another phone for us to use. So very, very interesting. But I'm interested to see what this new app is going to do for us. So,
by the way, Jimmy, I appreciate the seal of approval for Voodoo.
What did he say?
He said, "Hey, the Voodoo would be badass, better than a fat scavenger bird."
That's true. Very interesting. I want to get into some baseball conversation, and there's a lot of baseball fans here in New York and throughout the country. And I don't know if anybody did anybody see the Ohtani blast today?
I did not.
Well, it was a 2-run dinger, went over the green in the middle of the field. So
oh, wow.
It was like 450 feet or something like that.
Yeah,
420 feet.
I know the Angels spring training field kind of duplicates their other one, their main field with all the rocks in center field, the left center field area. So, yeah, that would be quite a shot of that.
You know, it's interesting with Ohtani because I don't know if Ohtani will ever be the same pitcher. I don't know if he is, but he has such a great bat, it doesn't even matter. And I remember you sticking up for Ohtani. Out of everybody, you thought Ohtani could be a guy that can give you 25, 30 home runs and give you close to 100 RBIs. I thought you were on drugs. But I think more and more seeing this guy, swing, and he has got a sweet swing, a very fluent swing. I don't know about hitting 30 home runs, but I could see him hit 20, 25 home runs and give you about 80, 90 RBIs. And
I remember that was one of the first big arguments I had.
That was one of the right arguments.
Especially with Jeff. He was the one shredding me the most about that.
Yes.
And
I'm surprised I haven't heard from Jeff.
Yeah. I said if he was a full-time hitter, I thought he was capable of that, which, again, if he does not end up getting back to pitching for him, he might end up being that.
What do you think about the Mets so far? I know it's spring training, but it has to worry you. I know it's early. It's spring training. Who cares? It doesn't mean anything. They haven't looked good, Speedy. They haven't.
No, so far they haven't. They haven't looked good. Again, a lot of new players, a lot of those split squad type games with spring training, the way they have always been. They lost their first one yesterday, and then they won today 2-0 against the Astros. Marcus Stroman started. He pitched the 2 scoreless innings, which, okay, that means 2 innings. I don't know how that would have been longevity-wise, but again, that's a good sign after the bad year he had last year, somewhat. So, again, a mixed bag so far for the Mets, but again, the key is going to be their depth and also the prospects developments, because now they're starting with the one thing Brody did do well, as we mentioned, is he did have some good draft picks, and a lot of those have looked better. So hopefully a lot of those guys start to play better. Guys like Maurizio, the catching prospect, I always forget his name, and Beatty, the third base prospect, who has been rumored in a bunch of trades for stars, because that's what the Mets are going to be like now. But that's going to be the guys to look at when it comes to the Mets and the depth pieces. How will somebody like Rojas manage those depth pieces? Even in spring training, it'll be a test for him.
And I'm looking at, so far, at Lindor's numbers. He's had 3 at-bats, and he hasn't had a hit. So I know it's early, and I know a lot of Met fans are so excited about this kid. We have to see if this guy can play in New York, okay? I don't care what anybody says. He's a fantastic talent, but we've seen fantastic talent come to New York and really didn't produce. We've seen this over and over.
Oh, yeah, especially in the bullpen.
We've seen them on the field. I'd like to see, I hope Francisco Lindor is the player that every Met fan hopes that he is going to be, because if he isn't, he's expecting a $300 and some odd million contract at the end of the season. And I'll be very surprised if he doesn't get it before the season starts, Speedy.
Now, the good thing is the Mets' track record of having these bad free agent star players have mostly been with bullpen guys and outfielders. We haven't really seen it with infielders as much. So maybe that changes the trend. Hopefully, again, this front office knows what they're doing, obviously, with the new GM that obviously did gross things, and obviously he's gone now. But,
gross things.
But, yeah.
I love that word. He did gross things.
He did. Well, he did do gross things. So, but again.
Would you do those things?
No.
Why not?
Because I'm not a creep.
That makes you a creep if you're doing gross things.
If I did what Jared Porter did, yeah.
Well, you're doing it with your girl. You're hanging out with your girl.
That wasn't what he did.
Yeah, I know. But
still,
it's gross things.
Regardless, whatever this new front office regime is, it's a different philosophy with obviously more money to spend, but also with the way they're developing players now, the way the types of players they brought in. And it's been a good change for what they've been missing a lot of the time and what they've quote unquote struck out on with big name outfielders, Jason Bay, and big name relief pitchers that haven't worked out for them, which are still on their roster, unfortunately.
Remember Jason Bay was up for an MVP, and then he goes to the Mets. He goes to the Mets, and he kind of, for 3 years later, actually 4 years laid up a dud, and the Mets couldn't move him because he was just terrible. He was horrendous.
He was like, I didn't expect him to make the money he did, because obviously he had the 1 year, but his track record before that was good, but not like to the superstar level that they paid him. The fact that he dropped off as badly as he did was still shocking to me.
And then there's the Yankees. Here's the thing. I love what I see with Gleyber Torres. Gleyber Torres came in healthy, came in shape. So far in spring training, he's been, you can't strike him out. You can't get him out. I mean, the guy, I think he has in his at-bats, I think he has 8 hits for, I think, 12 or 13 at-bats. Go look up Gleyber Torres' numbers. That's sensational. And Aaron Judge looks really, really good, too. I mean, both of these guys have looked sensational so far in spring training. It's all about health with the Yankees. That's all it is. If the Yankees could stay healthy, what do we got here for spring training? Right there, Speedy. Bring down. What are you doing?
I don't know what I clicked.
What are you doing, man? Bring it down. Hit the Gleyber. Oh, my God. You are terrible. Go over there. Go back. Go back. Gleyber Torres stats right there. Right there. There it is, right there.
3 hits and 4 at-bats. 750 average and a 1.75 OPS.
The Yankees, if Gleyber Torres hits well this year, we know what DJ LeMahieu is going to do. and Aaron Judge stays healthy with Giancarlo Stanton, the Yankees have the best lineup in baseball. The only reason why the Yankees are not put up as the best lineup in baseball right now is because of what the Dodgers did last year, Mookie Betts, what he did in the playoffs, and the Yankees offense was not healthy all season last year. But Luke Voit was the home run champion last year. DJ LeMay was the hitting champion last year. You had two of the best offensive players in two different structures on the same team. The reason why nobody is talking about it was because it was a half a season. The Yankees did nothing in the playoffs. So if Aaron Judge and Giancarlo Stanton give you that offense, and Gleyber Torres is 100% healthy this year, watch out for the Yankees, Speedy.
It's also the track record of the guys who are getting hurt, because now it was other different guys that were getting hurt from what it was in previous years. Stanton actually stayed healthy all year, yet there were other guys getting hurt, like Torres, in the infield especially.
Well, he wasn't healthy all year last year. He missed the last 19 games of the season, and he came back in the playoffs and got hot.
Yeah. So different guys have gotten hurt at different times, and then the streakiness of other guys have started to factor in too. Luke Voit had a great 2020.
Sensational.
He had a great 2017, but in between, in that mixture, what was he? Like, you didn't know what he was. Can you trust him to stick to that 2020 form?
I think you could trust him now.
Yeah, or was it a 2020? Gary Sanchez, another big question mark too. Had a great 2016 set in 2017, and then has been bad the last 3 years. Can he bounce back to form? Both of us think that he can because of his offensive capabilities.
He's going to.
But again, did the injuries take a toll on him? Because he's kind of that bulkier type catcher too. And we've seen a lot of those guys regress more than usual in today's game, just the way it's been. But at the same time, the catching position, again, a lot of those guys are like that too. And it's so fluky where those guys can easily bounce back.
What are our thoughts? By the way, Jimmy Jardine says, what are our thoughts about Judge fixing his teeth? Will that make him a bust moving forward? LOL, he says. No, Jimmy, it's not going to make him a bust. I know a lot of people think that him fixing his teeth will ruin his season. The answer is no. I have a better off whipping Speedy with a whip and expecting him to be a professional baseball player for Judge being a bust by fixing his teeth. So, no, I don't think it has any... it's not going to hurt him. It's not going to make him a better player. I think Aaron Judge is what he is. Right. And if he stays healthy, he's going to give, if he plays 162 games and he plays, if he plays 150 games, I think he hits 40 home runs. I think he gives you over 100 and some RBIs, and he's going to be an MVP candidate if he can stay healthy. If he plays 100 games, he's going to give you about 30 home runs or 25 home runs, and he's going to give you about 80, 90 RBIs. I think Aaron Judge has the capability to be an MVP every single year. He's to me, a top 5 player in the league. He's a 5-tool player. He can do every single thing on the field. He can steal. He can catch. He can do everything, and he can throw the ball. He's got a great arm. So he can do everything. The only problem with him is he's so big, he's so strong, he can't stay healthy. Jimmy Jardine says.
He said something about the superstitions in baseball. Yeah, okay, that matters to some extent, I guess, but I don't know if it'll matter for a whole season. It might matter for a stretch, like a week or something like that. Maybe he starts a little slow because of that, but he'll get back into it eventually, unless, again, like I said, unless something actually happens with his teeth where it causes him to get hurt or something like that. But
maybe we should beat him with a baseball bat and try to knock his teeth out. You think that'll hurt his equilibrium? What do you think, Speedy?
I don't know.
How about we stick a bat up his ass? You think that'll wake him up?
I don't know. We'll see. Aaron Judge has been dealing with a lot of injuries throughout his career. I think those will be minor in comparison. But okay.
With the bat up his ass, we'd have to surgically remove it. So that's a really rough injury. And
in comparison to other surgeries, I can't be that bad.
It's bad. It's bad. Well, why don't we try it with you? And if it works with you,
no,
you don't want to.
Plus, that'll be a bad sample to judge anyway. Aaron Judge.
Why is that?
Because Aaron Judge is 1,000 times more athletic than I will.
Well, you can't run and you can't shoot, so there you go.
Yeah, so why would that be a good enough sample?
By the way, Jimmy Jardine says, I don't buy superstition. I just thought it was funny. Well, I think it's funny too, Jimmy. You know what I also think is funny is Speedy Petey, especially with his anatomy, and wondering if a bat up his anal will wake him up. What do you think, Speedy? Would it wake you up?
No, it would freak me out.
It would freak you out? Why would it freak you out?
If I had a wooden bat that is what would Aaron
Judge
use?
Up your anus, yeah.
What would Aaron Judge use? Probably 30, 32, 33?
I don't care about the size of the bat. Okay. Would you stick a bat up? How about a wiffle bat? Would that wake you up?
What do you mean wake me up? I'm already awake, first of all.
I don't know. I'm just
And second of all, it would be, because it's a hard, long object, it would be something that I would feel pain for. And a wiffle bat is plastic, hard plastic, so that would probably be colder. So I don't know if I like that even less.
So you wouldn't want a wiffle bat up your ass?
No! Oh, God. And the Beef's on the phone, too.
What's going on, Beef?
So, yes, here comes more.
What's going on, man?
What's up?
So what are you
guys talking about?
Well, I was talking.
What do you think he's talking about? Weird stuff that involves me being a victim.
Well, I heard you like that stuff, so I don't know.
I heard he liked it too.
I like long, hard objects being pounded into my ass like I was being stabbed. Yeah, okay. Okay, Beef.
I don't know. That's what I heard.
Well, I heard it too.
Maybe you two just spread rumors on each other and thinks you guys are good, legitimate sources just talking to each other. Now it all makes sense. I get it now, Beef.
Well, right now, Speedy is wearing no underwear under his jean pants. He actually told me he came commando.
No, I didn't.
Well, I feel bad for you because you're sitting next to me.
That's true, but I
don't
actually,
listen to him.
I have a barrier. I have a barrier here, so beware of Speedy Petey and his long lost underwear. Anyways, Beef, what would you like to talk about, bud?
Well, I heard you guys talking some baseball about the Yankees and Judge, and I don't know if Judge is going to be what he once was. Because he's too big, he's too injury prone. Like I just don't think he can stay healthy every year.
I will say this: everything that we heard from the Yankees, Aaron Judge changed his workout plan. Him and Giancarlo Stanton this offseason have been working out together. So I think that's going to help him for the season because of the weight training that he was doing, the heavy weight training that he's doing.
It could, but he's just such a big guy. He's so lengthy, and and I just don't know if he can stay healthy.
I think he's going to be healthy for at least 140, 150 games this year. I think he's going to be a big part of the Yankees offense, and I think the Yankees are going to be very, very dangerous this year.
But it wouldn't surprise you if he got hurt and he missed another couple months. It wouldn't be surprising to me at all.
I think this year, this is a big year for somebody like Aaron Judge because he's going to go to arbitration after this year. He's going to want a lot of money through his arbitration. He gets his first arbitration money, and then he becomes a free agent after next year. So he's going to want the Yankees to pay him. I don't think the Yankees are going to want to go put him through arbitration. I think the Yankees are going to try to sign him at the end of the season. It's either him or Gleyber Torres that are going to be extended.
Well, you also got to see what kind of season he has and if he can stay healthy.
If he stays healthy, I pay him.
Yes, but if he doesn't, do you give him that long contract?
He's not going to make a $300 million contract because he's going to be 30. By the time he becomes a free agent, he's going to be 30 years old.
So we're going to want from 4 years?
No, I think the Yankees will give him a 5 with a 6-year option worth about $180, $170 million. That seems more like it for Aaron Judge. He's not going to get that Mookie Betts money because he's a lot older, being that he's a free agent. By the time he's a free agent,
kind of money. But I mean, if this guy can't stay healthy, you're not going to give this guy a 4 or 5 year deal.
But also that will actually downgrade the contract of what he's going to make per year because you're not going to have to pay him like he was a healthy superstar. You're going to pay him as, all right, he has some injury issues. He's had some bad stretches because
and he's the face of your team too.
Right. But also, again, that's going to lower it where they could pay both of them because of that. So even though the injuries are going to take a toll and that might not be a blessing for the Yankees, financially it is a blessing for the Yankees where Aaron Judge will probably get slightly less than what George Springer just got from the Blue Jays.
Oh, Springer got overpaid, so
in a sense, for what they need, yes. In terms of his market value, not really.
And that's the market right now. If the season were to end and they want to extend it,
but he got overpaid,
because the Blue Jays needed pitching, that he got overpaid because that's where they should have spent money.
I'm kind of glad the Mets didn't give him that contract.
But here's the thing: if fans start to come into the stadium, I think the contracts are going to be completely different next year because then the stadiums are going to open up, more revenue is going to come in. Aaron Judge could get $200 million. He could. So I'm not going to say that he will, But the Yankees could offer him 200. If Aaron Judge hits 40 home runs, it gives you 120 RBIs. You're not going to give him $200 million? You are.
No, he'll get it. Absolutely, he'll get that. Absolutely. But he's got to stay healthy. He's got to prove that he can stay healthy.
I do. I agree with you, Beeve. But the question is with the Yankees is health. Over the last couple of – and the Yankees still win 100 games. If it's 162 games, tell me when was the last time, besides last year, because it was only 60 games in a season, but when was the last time the Yankees didn't win 100 games?
The year they went to the ALCS in 2017. They were a wild card team.
That was 3 years ago. That was 3 years ago. They win 100 games every single year, even with the injuries that they had. I think 2 years ago, they had more injuries than any team in baseball. I think they had 33, 34 injuries. Yeah, and they had 103 wins. Yeah. So, and Aaron Boone, I mean, did you hear what?
You just took the words out of my mouth. Just how good Aaron Boone was manager, how good he was to hold that team together.
Aaron Boone might not be a part of this team for a couple of weeks, maybe a couple of months.
Oh, yeah, because he's getting that
the pacemaker
thing,
which is huge. I mean, when you look at where the Yankees are at, who's taking over as the manager of this team if Aaron Boone doesn't come back right away?
He'll be back. When my grandfather was alive, he had a pacemaker put it on.
Yeah, but being a manager on a professional baseball team, the stress that you got to go through every single game and 162 games in a year, that's a lot. That's a lot on your heart. So
it is.
And it's also being away from the flow of what they're doing right now. If they're playing well, or the other way around, how do you fix that type of thing? He's not in that clubhouse. He's not with the players directly, especially the new players that the Yankees got, especially with their rotation too. Like, how will he know like what are the best ways to use guys like Tyone or Kluber, some of those new guys? And that might be a hard thing for him to adjust to right away if he comes back, say, in June.
He'll be there day one when nobody Yankees open up.
Your buddy said something. You ready? He says, how will he know how the Yankees are going to do this season? ? He gave up sports.
I don't know who you're talking about.
I know you don't know who I'm talking about. I love it. And by the way, Carl says 2 years of 100 wins, which you're right. The year in 2017, they had
91 and they were a wild card team.
Yes,
and then they went to the ALCS after they beat the Indians.
So it's been almost 3 years. And last year, I don't count last year because it was
I don't count last season either. Last season was a joke.
Well, the champion is champion. You can't throw away who won the championship.
I'm just saying the whole season was a joke for all the sports. They were all jokes.
But 162 games, I think the Yankees have a chance to get 100 wins this year with the talent that they have. The only thing that's
what are they playing? 7 less games? 6 less games?
No, they're playing 162.
No, they're
games.
playing a full season. The NBA's playing less games. They're only playing 72. MLB's good.
There was rumors where they were saying they were going to cut the season a little bit short.
No,
that was only the NBA 72 and NHL 56. But
by the way, Jeff says I'll meet him at Fire Island. But it's interesting because I'm watching the Mets, and I said this with Speedy. I know you're a Met fan.
Yeah.
I know it's early. I know it's spring training, but the Met, and I know spring training doesn't really stick out like a sore thumb but some of these guys aren't hitting already, and that could be a problem going into the season, bud. And Francisco Lindor has 3 at bats. He hasn't had 1 hit. This guy's got to hit the ball. If he starts the season in a rough spot and he's not hitting the ball, Met fans are going to be paling on him because he's going to want a $300 million contract.
Of course, going to be tearing on him. Absolutely.
New
York.
Yeah, I know. And do you think he's going to fit here in New York? There's a lot of people.
I don't know because you see all these all-stars, all these top players come to New York, and then once they come to New York, they have problems. They can't take the pressure.
I hope he doesn't. I hope he's a better player than people think he is. And by the way, Carl says no longer hard object.
Thank God,
Speedy anymore. He says,
yeah, thank God, Carl.
Well, then we'll just stick a wiffle bat.
Hey, Carl, I saw your last comment. Don't think I didn't see that.
Soft
nice try. You're trying to go with his humor now.
Soft and plasticky. It's quick and easy. What do you think, Speedy?
Not happening.
It's a little knob, man. It's not too hard. It's not wood. It's not fiberglass.
I don't care.
Could you imagine him go to a baseball stadium? He has a wiffle bat hanging out of his ass. A Mets wiffle bat. Oh, Speedy, what do you got over there?
It's all he has to do is bend over and he can butt the ball.
and I would bunt it foul, or I would fall on my head, whichever happens first. So what would be the effect of that?
Well, I think you're already filling your head. So
Jeff says the Mets will be fine if they start up slump. Beeve will yank them off and relax them. Yank them off and relax them. So interesting.
I don't know if the Mets are going to be fine. I don't think they have the right manager on that team.
Do you think the manager makes a difference with the talent? I don't think so. Not in baseball, just really with the relief pitching, the bullpen. Right. I think that's the most important thing. As far as managing, listen, a player's going to hit, a player's going to play defense. That's really what it is. Managing is really managing the bullpen and managing your rotation. If you're good at that, look at all the guys that have been successful in this league. You look at Girardi, Joe Torre. You know?
Yeah, but it's also times where they can do hit and runs and this and that. And there's a lot of other things that managers can do.
Well, it's tough to tell in this kind of what he had to deal with last year. It's kind of tough to judge him in that kind of year, being it's only a 60-game season. And the same thing goes with any manager that had a positive year where you're thinking, okay, they could be a good manager. So that's tough to tell right now. But yeah, the biggest key will be managing the high-priced, big-name type relief pitchers that the Mets have that haven't shown up for them since they got there.
Betances being one of them.
Betances, Diaz, and biggest one of all, Familia.
I think McCann was a big pickup for them. I don't know how good he's going to be offensively. I really don't. He had a good season.
Good of an offensive player.
Well, the last 2 seasons he has been. But remember, maybe he's a late bloomer.
Oh, maybe.
He's big and he's strong. He's one of the biggest catchers in the league.
I'm worried about Diaz because I don't think he's ever going to be what he once was.
Well, again, maybe under a new management, Sandy Alderson, and a completely different team, he's not pressured to be that because he's got Betances, he's got May. May might wind up being the closer in the long run. I really think that's why they brought him to the team. I think he's going to be the 7th inning guy. But all in all, it all depends on how they play. Mm-hmm. And by the way, Carl says crazy that the last time the Yankees had a losing season was 1992.
Yep.
It is crazy.
Yeah, that is crazy.
It is crazy. That's almost, if you look at it, it's almost 30 years ago.
That streak is the most insane one that's going right now. Probably the second most one I've seen besides the Red Wings playoff streak.
Who do you think starts the closing position, Diaz or Lugo?
Diaz.
Yes. Diaz, because Lugo could also be used in a lot of other different roles. We've seen him be good in the 7th inning. We've seen him be good in the 8th inning. We've seen him be good as a starter, which I don't think they'll need him to be that this year, but we've seen him. Whereas Diaz, he's more of that pure closer type where we haven't seen him do well even in other instances.
Well, how long do you give Diaz? Because if he's not pitching well, we'll say within the first 3 weeks.
Depends on how quickly he falls out.
2 months, 2.5 months. If they start losing because of him, I think they pull the plug from him. I think the next guy up will be Betances, and then after Betances, it'll be May. I think that's how their relief pitching, their bullpen is pretty good. They added Luke too. This is a pretty good bullpen.
So you don't see Lugo being a closer at all?
No. He's good in too many other roles. And
more of a starter than a closer.
I think the notion of a pure closer is kind of being shied away from in today's game too.
But if these guys are costing you games and this and that, you're going to have to go to Lugo at some point.
True, but they could also be costing you games in the 7th.
By the way, Carl says, can you name the manager of the 92 team? Buck Showalter. So there you go. I gave it to you.
Mike, going back to the closing, teams could blow games in the 6th inning, the 7th inning too. The Mets bullpen problems wasn't just Diaz and it wasn't just the 9th inning.
It was a lot of Diaz. If you look at all the blown saves that he gave, he cost the Mets at least 30 to 40 games one year.
But how many times do they also blow leads in the 7th inning too?
I'm not disagreeing with
the Mets' problem isn't just closing.
It's more Diaz than anything else.
If you're judging players, yes. If you're
you can't blame Diaz for the bad management calls and leaving him in too long. You cannot put him at all at fault. Yes, he throws the ball.
He is at fault.
No, that has a lot to do with the manager. That has a lot to do with putting him in the wrong position to succeed. Okay, and I'm sorry, he's got great stuff. And if the Mets give up on him, he's another team's treasure because he'll go to the Cubs, the Nationals.
can't handle New York.
No, and that quite possibly could happen. We've seen how many guys can't handle New York. Look at Sonny Gray.
Yes, I understand, and then they go to another team and they're great.
Now, and the Mets were talking about bringing Sonny Gray to the team. He couldn't handle the Yankees. What makes them think that he can handle the Mets?
It's also the flukiness of closers, though, too. It might just not be. It might be a Diaz was a 2-year wonder type thing, and we see guys steam out like that too. Maybe it's New York, maybe it isn't. It's tough to tell. But Diaz right now is.
I mean, the last great closer the Mets had was John Franco.
Yeah, but he's also not the last big name player that they've had too that have been good closers in the past. It's just the trend of the position.
He was the greatest closer the Mets ever had.
Okay, but again, you're judging a different time of baseball as well too, where these guys have to be used in more different roles. Whereas the pure closer is not blamed as much either as it used to be when they blew the saves.
Go back to any single sport, so I don't want to hear that excuse. So.
Right, but again, with the way analytics have taken over micromanaging and analytics have taken over baseball, you have to also judge just relief pitchers as a whole. It's the way they manage games. And the Mets manager, Luis Rojas, was, I forget the name of the position, but it was a very analytic-driven position.
I don't agree with the analytics, and I don't think it should be used.
All right, so you don't agree with the analytics, okay? No. What team, what surprise team sticks out to you in the National League this year, and what team surprises you that might stick out in the American League? What team you think could stick out in the National League, and what surprise team could stick out in the American League? Come on, give us your answer.
Well, I mean, the division the Mets are in. I mean, the Braves are good. The Phillies are good. I mean, I don't
look
know.
At the Nationals pitching staff. You added John Lester to that pitching staff.
Yes,
to me. Their pitching staff is as good as any team in baseball.
I would say Washington's probably going to surprise a lot of people. I would say
Washington. Okay, that's news to Charlie Slows. He doesn't think so, but and how about in the American League?
I don't know. I have to go and look. Off the top of my head, I couldn't give you a team right now.
Watch out for the Anaheim Angels. They're going to be dangerous.
You think so?
I think this year, a full season, they had what did they have? A quarter season last year. I wouldn't bet on that. I mean, with Ohtani being looking healthy right now, Rendon, they have a pretty good pitching staff. They have some good young prospects coming up, and obviously the best player in baseball, Mike Trout there. And Albert Pujols last year, as a major league player, I think they're going to play for Albert to try to get into the playoffs. They could be a very, very
What do you think about the Blue Jays?
Not enough pitching yet. Yes. I think they're going to be a potent offense. They're going to be third in that division because the Red Sox and Orioles are not good right now. That's going to be hard because, again, they're not having the 8 teams this year, Mike. They're going back to 5. So unless the Yankees and the Rays really do have the bad injury problems that they have, it's going to be very hard for them with a lack of pitching. Unless, again, Ryu returns to that Cy Young type form and maybe they get the second half of the season Robbie Ray that they got last year for the full season. But we've seen his track record be very streaky year to year too.
Do you want to hear what Jimmy Jardine says? Don't agree with analytics. The analytics is the cold, hard data of the game. The analytics are the objective that takes on the sport. That is the game.
Very good, Jimmy. Very good.
But he's right.
He's absolutely right.
I mean, analytics in baseball mean everything. I mean, analytics stick out like a sore thumb. The whole WAR thing, I used to hate that too. But if you look at WAR and what WAR does, it analyzes everything. You know, the whole game.
Indicative of a player's value and a team value.
Yeah, so
I mean, I don't agree with analytics. I'm more of an old school like coaching, like how Girardi used to coach and how
Girardi used analytics.
He used analytics too later on in his Yankees tenure.
For the first time, but I'm talking about like how he used to coach without the analytics.
But again, they also weren't as prominent when he started managing with Miami or with Florida. They remember analytics started with the Moneyball Athletics. I mean, they were still around before then, but they were popularized then. Then they were started to funnel into the league, and then since probably the start of last decade, they've been kind of a main type thing where GMs have really changed their whole philosophy on the way to develop players. Obviously, managers have done more with micromanaging.
I just don't like the way the games change and how it is. To me, it's not baseball.
Carl says, "How about Darryl Strawberry's WAR 36.6?" Which is pretty high.
Yeah.
And Jimmy Jardine says that's why those managers don't manage anymore.
Well, yeah, they want to take on younger, more progressive type guys. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
But he's right because the way the game changed.
Well, every game
but that
changed.
doesn't mean younger managers are bad though either though.
I'm not saying they are. I'm just saying I like the old type of managing.
So do I. I like the old time basketball in the 90s. Is it ever going to come back? No. It's never going to come back. It's going to change.
And that's why I don't watch basketball no more.
Well, that's fine. But other people don't stop watching basketball. There's a lot of basketball fans.
And that's fine. And that's fine with them. But I just don't like the.
So baseball's completely changed with the analytics, with the shifting and everything. So you're going to stop watching baseball because the shifting has ruined the game?
No, I mean, basketball's changed a lot more than baseball.
No, it has not.
Well, again, you also have to factor in how many players are on a team, though, with baseball.
Hold on. You think basketball changed more than baseball?
I think so.
No.
Yes.
Baseball's completely changed. The rules have completely changed. They're talking about getting rid of umpires and bringing electric umpires in the game. What are you talking about?
I didn't hear that.
Yeah,
well, that's a concept for pace of play. That's not really the rule.
They're changing the. Well, that's a rule. You're bringing in umpires. They're changing. That's going to change the rules of the game too because of that.
I can't wait till a robot umpire just breaks on a foul ball.
Also, this when you look at the fact of the home runs to strikeout ratios now, everything is different now. The balls are juiced. The game is completely different.
Well, they just said that they changed the ball again.
Pitchers don't. Carl's right. Pitchers don't even go 6 innings anymore. Right. So the game is completely changed. The rules, the shifting has ruined the game. It's ruined the game. And it's never going to stop because that's the way you win championships. You know why the Dodgers won the World Series this year? Go watch what they did throughout the season. They were one of the most as far creative when it came to shifting in particular games. And I'm telling you right now, and nobody likes Roberts. Nobody likes him. So and I'm talking about the Dodgers manager. Nobody likes the guy. But he won a World Series, and everybody was trying to run him out. Okay, so baseball has completely changed from basketball. Basketball's changed, absolutely has, and it's ruined the game. But I still love basketball just as much as I love baseball. What hurts me about baseball is baseball has become boring. It's become boring. There are games that are must not watch. I don't even watch the game because when you watch Tampa play, okay. And you watch some of these defensive teams play, like Kansas City over the years. The Kansas City was a great team. They were a great all-around team, but they were boring to watch. Why? Because they're a defensive team. Who wants to watch a defensive team?
Well, small market teams kind of have to be that way, though, too. I mean, how else are you going to succeed, especially in baseball now, where it seems like the big market teams are really taking
even
over.
the Cardinals when they were good, they were a boring team to watch. Now you added Nolan Arenado and Paul Goldschmidt. They're fun, a bunch of guys to watch now. The game is completely different. They're changing their team. They're bringing in free agents. Over the years, the Cardinals never brought in free agents. They built around their farm system. Now all of a sudden they brought Nolan Arenado and Paul Goldschmidt, two guys that are two great guys at their positions, probably the best at the positions throughout the league. The game has changed. So, by the way,
I'm not saying it hasn't. I'm just.
But that doesn't mean it necessarily changed for the worse either, though, Mike, because you're also getting more players that are getting great opportunities. Okay, but I'm just saying you're bashing the analytics and how they've ruined the game.
It did ruin the game, and I don't like it. But
analytics in certain parts of the game, analytics have hurt the game. I wouldn't say ruin the game; it hurt the game. I think WAR is a very interesting analytic. Well, would I use it, over the years? No, I wouldn't. But now that you look at the analytic to it, it's interesting. It's definitely an interesting analytic. But there are certain analytics in all professional sports that really, really bother me. Here's one, 3-point shooting percentage. Now, Michael Jordan, in his career, I think he was a career 29% 3-point shooter. Now people are saying, well, because he was a career 29, 30% 3-point shooter, Kevin Durant was a better player than him, or Steph Curry's a better player than him. And that's a crock of you know what,
Right, we're
because
not
the
judging
game was
raw
different.
shooting. We're judging
Because the game is different.
Yeah. And that's also tough to judge too, because Michael Jordan also was going to be that age. If he was Kevin Durant's age, developed the same way, he would have learned that too and developed that too. Would he have developed as Durant? We don't know, but that's always tough to tell. But again, going back to baseball analytics, Mike, they also are key for player development too. When players are learning about these new concepts, guys, bat speed, launch angle, stuff like that.
Jeff, you an idiot.
They learn on that. That's why you're seeing more power hitting infielders, smaller guys that are power hitters, power hitting center fielders too, where it was mainly only top guys for a while. I mean, obviously you're gonna have your first baseman, your third baseman that are big power hitters, and certain outfielders that are great players. But
Carl doesn't like it. He doesn't like the WAR. He says, is Jason Hayward's WAR higher than Strawberry's because of Hayward's defense?
Yeah, but that value matters to an extent. And also remember, before he came to the Cubs, obviously he struggled with the Cubs. Hayward was a very good hitter too with the Braves. So they also factor in that.
Yeah, but he was a better hitter than Strawberry. So
we didn't say that, but WAR also combines certain years too and averages it out.
I don't care about that WAR stat. That doesn't mean anything to me.
Judges value, Mike.
It's
Not
a
to
very
me, it doesn't.
Speedy's right, and I used to hate the WAR statistic too, and the analytic to it too. But when you look at what it means and what it does, when you're trying to compare and contrast a player from value of, if you look at, for instance, if you look at Mike Trout and you compare him to Mickey Mantle, okay, I'm just saying, you look at Mike Trout to Mickey Mantle, and you compare and contrast their power numbers are very similar. Obviously, Mike Trout is a different type of hitter. I mean, Mike Trout is a right-handed hitter. Mickey Mantle is switch hitter. So he's one of the greatest switch hitters in baseball history. But if you look at their power hitters to date, from the time that they've played, very, very similar. You know what's not similar? Their WAR. And the reason why, and Mickey Mantle was a great defensive player in his younger years. He wasn't anywhere close to Mike Trout. And it tries to, when you're trying to compare and contrast in the future, when Mike Trout's career is over, and you're going to try to compare his numbers to Mickey Mantle, you can compare them. And I would take Mike Trout over Mickey Mantle, as crazy as it may seem. And I've never even seen.
No way.
Really? No way? No way.
It was different back then.
No way. Are you kidding me?
Mickey Mantle.
All right. Let me give you some numbers.
Mike Trout is 27 years old right now, and his WAR for his career is already close to Reggie Jackson, and that's pretty insane.
The game is totally different. You can't compare Mike Trout to Mickey Mantle. Sorry.
Yeah, but it's different. It's different in other positive ways that Mickey Mantle had benefits around him too, and especially with the team around him.
They played in bigger ballparks back then. Also.
No, the ballpark size has changed after Babe Ruth, not Mickey Mantle.
You sure about that?
Yeah. Babe Ruth played in those like 500-foot right field and left field corners with the polo grounds and all that. Mickey Mantle, once they got into Yankee Stadium, it's a little smaller than what it was, but it's still not. It's not overall going to make that much of a difference. And it's not like Mickey Mantle played in like the biggest pitcher's park in the world either.
Just think about this. I'm going to give you numbers, okay, and tell me if they don't stand out. Career. His career WAR is 74.6, which is astronomical. It's the best in baseball. Okay, 4,539 at bats, over 1,000 hits already. He's going to have 2,000 hits before the age of 30. Okay, 2,000 hits before the age of 30. He has 302 home runs, and remember, he missed almost a full season 1 year because he broke his wrist. Sliding into second base.
And did you see his numbers, like what they were projected to be if he played a full season? They would have been record setting.
His career batting average is 304. He had 944 runs, 798 RBIs, 201 stolen bases, on base percentage over 400, slugging percentage over almost 6, on base OPS almost 1,000. I mean, the guy's numbers are ridiculous. They're not even close.
He got over 1,000 RBIs.
He's got 300 home runs in almost 6 years.
He had 1,500 RBIs in his career if he played with half the talent Mickey Mantle did too.
If Mickey Mantle would have played in today's game, he would have.
If Mickey Mantle was on Mike Trout's Angels as they currently stand, he would have had Mike Trout numbers.
Yes.
I don't know. Mike Trout, outside of Albert Pujols and a couple like randomly good infielders at different times, who really has he been hitting around where guys are pitchers are pitching around him a lot of the time.
Mike Trout's the best player in the game today.
And by the way, Carl says Mickey Mantle's WAR is 110. Mickey Mantle, okay.
For his whole career. Mike
career.
Trout is 29 years old, playing half of his career. He still has a long way to go to get to that. Mike Trout's WAR is historically good at the pace he's going on.
Mike Trout has the best WAR historically in Major League history. In Major League history, in his first 6 years. It's ridiculous. For anybody to argue that, it's crazy.
He's already right near Reggie Jackson and Derek Jeter for their whole career. That's how good he's been right now.
And Mantle stole 153 bases. Trout won.
Trout's stolen 201. 201. Yeah.
201. And
yeah,
Mike Trout already broke, Mickey Mantle's stolen base record, and he's 7 years into his career. I mean, I'm not telling you he's better than Mickey Mantle, but when he's done, he's going to have better numbers than Mickey. He's right there.
All right.
He's right there.
All right, Mike, we have a response from Jimmy on the data.
That doesn't make him better than Mickey Mantle. I'm sorry.
All right. Jimmy Jardine says the data doesn't change, man. Doesn't matter if it's 1920 or 2021. Players still hit the ball, still throw the ball, still catch the ball, and there is objective ways to calculate the data.
Thanks, Carl. No problem.
The game has changed. Sorry.
But the data adjusts it to each time. They analyze everything.
Football's changed. Look at the game. Look at the rules. Are you going to stop watching it?
That's why it's very hard to compare numbers.
But you're not comparing the numbers are the same factors with everything.
You're right, because if Tom Brady played in the 80s and the 80s and 90s, he wouldn't have the numbers he has today. He wouldn't.
He wouldn't.
No.
He wouldn't. You're 100% right. I agree with that.
But analytic numbers in baseball adjust to all factors. Adjusted ERA, ERA plus is all based on ballpark factors. That would have adjusted to those bigger ballparks that you're talking about.
And if Mike Trout stays healthy for the rest of his career, he plays another 6 years like this, he's going to go down as the greatest baseball player of all time. I'm telling you right now, he is on his way of being the greatest baseball player of all time. I mean, he's already won 3 MVPs, Steve, in 7 years. 3 of them. He's won 5 or 4 Silver Sluggers. I think 5 or 4 Silver Sluggers.
And how many of those non-MVP years he was also a finalist?
I mean, he's going to win a Triple Crown probably.
I could see that.
That's fine, but I just don't think he's better than those old-time guys. That's all.
Not right now, but the pace he's on for 28, 29 years old is historic.
He's got 302 home runs already in 7 seasons. Do you know how many home runs that is?
Yes, that's fine.
And remember, they had a COVID year last year. I think he had 20-something home runs.
That's fine.
He's going to shatter Ken Griffey Jr. He's going to shatter Hank Aaron's numbers. He's going to shatter all the steroid abusers. He's going to shatter all of them. He's that good.
I'm not saying he's
without
not.
Steroids.
He's 27. He's 27 years old. He's not even in the prime of his career yet, and he's breaking records. 7 Silver Sluggers. Carl said 7 out of the 8 years. 7 out of 7, actually. I think it's 7 out of 7.
7 out of 8.5, essentially. He started in 2012.
I'm sorry.
So 8.5 with the COVID year.
and Carl says his WAR is 83.8.
Yeah, insane.
The guy is unbelievable. I mean,
I'm not disagreeing with that. I didn't say he wasn't.
To me, but could I say he's better than Mickey Mantle? I'm telling you, he's going to have better numbers. No talking about Griffey. Oh, he's talking about Griffey.
Right. We're not saying. I think we're confusing it with if he retired now versus what he's going to be. He's 28 years old in the prime of his career.
No,
still.
but he's telling you that he's almost passing Griffey.
Wow. I didn't even realize that. That's insane, too.
Griffey has 83.8 WAR in his career. He's got 70-something.
I didn't even realize it was that close. Wow. Yeah. Thank you, Carl. That's even more precedent to the argument of how historic his WAR is, and his analytic numbers show that he is at this point in his career.
And Carl says that just saying Trout will pass Griffey, and that is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's going to pass Griffey before Griffey even, before Griffey played like 20-something years. This guy's played 7 years, 7.5 years, and he's going to break Ken Griffey Jr. probably at the end of this year. That's crazy. Ken Griffey Jr., one of the top 10, top 12 players of all time. That's how good he is. I mean, if he were to retire right now, he's a first ballot Hall of Famer.
I'm not disagreeing with that. I didn't say anything about that.
But
what I'm saying is
Mickey Mantle didn't. I'm just telling you. If you look at Mickey Mantle's numbers, Mickey Mantle's numbers are not anywhere comparable to his right now. They're not.
You can't compare those numbers.
Mickey Mantle career home runs. I think he had 550. What was it? 507 home runs.
I want to say 520 something.
No, I think it was 507.
Let's see.
536.
536. 536. Do you know that Mike Trout only needs 230 home runs left to break his home run record? Do you know he's going to do that in 4 years? He's going to do that in 4 years.
It's hard to compare that game now to this game today.
Are you kidding me? If he played in that time, you're talking about the greatest. He's going to Babe Ruth numbers.
All right, Mike. Let's judge the first 8 years of Mantle and Trout's career.
I'm not going that route because you can't. Because the game is totally different, so you can't compare it. I'm sorry.
In what facet? But what facets do you say it's totally different though? Because the level of the ballparks, okay, maybe that's a little bit of a factor. But also,
it's a big factor.
Okay, no, it's not. Yankee Stadium was not a pitcher's park.
Listen, then the bowls changed. The bowls are juiced too, so I don't want to hear it. So
that hasn't been proven, first of all, and second of all,
well, that has been proven because you heard what the commissioner said.
Even if it was, it's 1 year. Even if it is, it's 1 year. All right. That's still irrelevant for the process.
You still heard what the commissioner said.
Whatever. Just go ahead, Beef. What are you saying?
1 year.
Okay, it's 1 year. All right, what's the other factors that you think the game is that much different than it was?
It's more than 1 year.
Oh, and he says that, by the way, Carl says the mound is lower now, dude. That's what he said. So it actually makes it even harder. It makes it even harder to hit. I mean, it's honestly, and by the way, I'm going to read what Jimmy Jardine says. He says, Mike Trout objectively is a superior athletic specimen than any of the old-time ball players. Look at Babe. Look at the Babe. Smoking cigars on the field, having steak and eggs right before games. Hold on. Mantle being hammered drunk during games. Trout is far more physical specimen. And then, and he's right. Jardine's right. He is right.
But this is what those players did back then, and if they didn't, they would keep you imagine.
So, Beef, let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a good question. With the game completely changing and with these pitchers pitching all different, in those days there was fastball, changeup, and maybe two-seam, that's really it, or knuckleball. There wasn't no really popular curveballs or what did they go, fork balls or sliders. There were nothing like those in those days. Could you imagine Mike Trout, with his ability now, the way he sees the ball, playing in those days? The guy would have 60 home runs every single season.
Could you imagine a not drunk Mickey Mantle and actually taking care of himself and being healthy? What kind of numbers you have?
No question.
Oh, that's what we're comparing it to, though.
We are comparing it if he was 100% healthy. Mickey Mantle's
and he still has the fastest time to first base. No one ever's beaten his time to first base yet.
Good for him. I mean, what is that going to do? Is that going to make him a better player?
No, and he probably would have had better numbers if he didn't get his.
Nobody's taking away Mickey Mantle. Nobody's taking away his greatness. I would never. I'm a Yankee fan. I would never take away Mickey Mantle's greatness.
And we're also not saying Mike Trout is retiring today. We're not saying Mike Trout is 37 years old and he's already declining.
He's 27.
With those numbers. He's 27 with
that. I know that.
With insane numbers. He has 302 home runs already. Mickey Mantle, his first 8 years, at 280. 900 some, what did you say? 925 RBIs versus 841, and Mickey Mantle played on a way better Yankees team than Mike Trout's Angels ever were. So that's really that's deceiving itself. 311 versus 302. Okay,
you can compare those numbers. He's better than what he's trying to tell you is right now at the time that Mickey Mantle was at the best of his game and best of his career. Mike Trout's better than him, and Mike Trout has better numbers than Alex Rodriguez doing steroids. He has got better numbers than Derek Jeter. He's got better numbers than Ken Griffey Jr. He's got better. Hold on. He's got better numbers than Barry Bonds at the time that he is. He's got better numbers than all of them, except maybe Babe Ruth. Okay.
Maybe Babe Ruth, Willie Mays, and that's really it when you're judging in terms of definitively well-rounded top hitters, top well-rounded players. Maybe him, Babe Ruth, Ted Williams, and Willie Mays.
I think he has better numbers than Ted Williams. I think he's got better numbers than Ted Williams in 8 years.
Might just.
I mean, I'm not even lying to you. It's crazy. You can say whatever you want. And the game is harder now. Baseball is harder now because of these pitchers throwing 100 and some odd miles per hour. Mickey Mantle didn't see 102, 103 mile per hour fastball. Mike Trout has, and he's jacked them up. I mean, that's the difference in the game. I think the game is harder to play now than it was in those days.
If he did, he would have saw it as a rookie Nolan Ryan when Mickey Mantle's at the end of his career.
But that's baseball. In football, I think it was harder in the 80s and the 70s to play football than it is today. I do believe that. In basketball, it was harder in those days than it is today. Absolutely believe it. But baseball, it's harder to play baseball now. It's much harder to play baseball now because these pitchers throw harder. They throw all these different fork balls, the 2-seam, the 4-seam, the change-up knuckle pitch. I mean, it's harder to see the pitches. It's harder. It's just a harder game.
And
Baseball
there's so many
is a
different
harder
types
game.
of motions now with those types of pitchers. Why, Beeve? Because of analytics.
Analytics changed the game.
Well, you know what? You can stick the analytics up your ass.
He likes sticking wiffle bats up his ass.
No, I don't. We're not getting back into this.
Well, he can stick that up right up there with it.
No, Beeve. We're not going back into baseball equipment.
Maybe we'll stick a wiffle ball up there and see if it'll pop right out.
and he can stick his butt plug up there, too.
His ass is his pitching machine.
God, enough with the butt plug. We're not doing that either.
His ass is the Yankees pitching machine. Oh, man. Beeve, thanks, man.
You got it, man. I'll talk to you guys.
Beeve from Bayshore. Mr. Beeve. Very interesting dude.
Yeah, you don't say.
I love him. He's interesting. Mike Trout is...
Oh, we know he's interesting, all right.
Mike Trout is a better player than Mickey Mantle was. For the last 8 years, he is. I'm a Yankee fan, and I can't argue that. I never even got a chance to see Mantle play, but I've seen Mike Trout play, and Mike Trout is on a whole nother level. I mean, he is right now he's going on numbers that he's going to break every single record in baseball history. I mean, that's how
and he's
good
not
he is.
just one thing. He's a 5-tool player, well-rounded player that could do everything. The only thing we haven't seen him do yet is hit in the playoffs, but he's only been in the playoffs once. So judge that on the team, not on him.
Look what Carl says. It goes both ways, says players ate crazy before games. Just because the babe ate steak and eggs doesn't mean the pitcher didn't. So Bain was smashing home runs off of overindulgent pitchers. Ha, ha, ha. And then Jimmy Jardine says, that was a great segment. I got your back, Speedy.
Jimmy, if you ever want to have a nice, if you ever want to write something for the Beef to teach him analytics and understand
Stick
how
a wiffle
valuable
bat
it
up
is,
his ass like Speedy likes it.
Please inform him on how valuable they are, not just on raw numbers and comparing players, but also on player development and player value.
Speedy likes sticking wiffle bats up his ass.
No, I don't.
Well, I guess that's it for our show. It was a great show. It was
phenomenal show.
It was a great show. Great content as always. Jimmy, spreading the wealth. We really appreciate all. Carl, Jimmy, Beeve, Jeff, all the guys, Declan, all the guys that were going back and forth on our media page. I didn't get a chance to see Periscope and Twitter. I will. Whoever wrote to us on those pages, because I know a lot of people are complaining that we don't answer back to their messages. We will answer to your messages. I'd like to apologize. Jimmy Jardine, I'm a numbers guy in all sports. Objective data is vital. And then Carl says, stick a war up your ass.
Carl, I don't think an entire war of combat of different countries and or cities and or whatever would fit in my ass. Unless you shrunk the earth somehow.
I wonder how small your a-hole is. I mean, maybe we can really jam that, maybe 2 wiffle bats up there at the same time. What do you think?
No.
We'll put one with the Yankees because I know you hate
that. Doesn't matter.
I
don't care what I'm
gives
what
you
I'm
a
doing
power.
here.
It gives you a power. It gives you New York power.
If I wanted to deliberately attack a team that I don't like and like show that I
Spit it
don't
out,
like
Speedy.
them,
Spit it
I
out.
wouldn't stick it up my ass. Why not just break the bat or slam the bat or something like that? It's not. I don't need to strip to do it.
Well, WWSRN on OnlyFans, Ella laughing my ass off.
I don't know what that means, but I don't want to know. Jimmy, come on. I would expect that out of Carl or somebody like that. You're now starting to buy into his stuff.
Get him, Jimmy.
Jimmy, I thought you were on my side here.
Well, that's it for our show. We'll be back on Monday for Down to the Wire. We have some new shows joining our network very, very soon. Very excited about that. Stick to the Weekend Crunch. If you guys don't listen to the Weekend Crunch, listen to it. It's a great, great show with me, Josh, and Speedy on the FM dial. We are live on Saturdays. I don't know if the Islander game is on this Saturday at 7 o'clock. If I'm not mistaken, is the game on tonight? I'm not sure.
The Islanders played yesterday, so based on that pattern, they would be. Yeah, looks like they are. Yeah.
Saturdays.
Oh no, they're a day game, 1 o'clock.
So our show will be airing at 7 o'clock on Saturday. Stay tuned. Go to iHeartRadio. All you got to do is look up Long Island News Radio, LI News Radio. I'm sorry, LI News Radio. If you're not here in New York, if you're in Long Island, all you got to do is pop on 103.9 at 7 o'clock and you hear the craziness and the argumental craziness with me and Josh and Speedy. It's a great show.
And the analytics.
Yeah. The crazy arguing. That's for damn sure. But anyways, by the way, Carl says Commando in the winter. That takes balls.
Really? You had to bring that joke back. I was hoping he wouldn't see it.
He also says,
come on, Carl.
Break the bat in two and shove both pieces up there.
Okay, it might fit then, I guess. But
it might fit then there.
It still would hurt. It felt like I would be being stabbed. I don't know why you think this would be a passionate thing for me.
That's pretty good. It would passionate for me.
Yes, you're not the victim.
Anyways, that's it for our show. We will be back next week. Until then, this is, by the way, shout out to the hit list and all. Oh, man. Shout out
Maybe
to
you need the glow back.
Oh, man, that's great. Oh, man. I could have. All right, that's it for our show. We'll be back next week. That's it. Good night.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Be fearless at MMA Long Island and Setuha Karate. Located at 28 Colt Court in Ronkonkoma, MMA Long Island is the martial arts school for you if you want to learn combat-proven techniques, build confidence, discipline, and self-esteem while learning real martial arts to fight back against bullies, predators, and peer pressure. MMA Long Island offers group and private lessons for all ages and levels in traditional Goju-Ryu Karate, MMA, and self-defense. MMA Long Island is one of Long Island's most affordable martial arts schools. There are no promotion, belt, or membership fees, and family discounts are available. All classes are taught by 7th degree black belt Sensei John Benedict with over 30 years teaching experience. So whether you want to get in the ring or protect yourself and your family, MMA Long Island can help you reach your goals. Visit MMALongIsland.com. That's MMALongIsland.com or call or text 516-381-9660. That's 516-381-9660.